أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيك. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيك. 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 بسم الله بسم الله بسم الله. أعوذ بالله وقدرته من شر ما أجد وأحاذر. 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 اللهم رب الناس أذهب الباس واشف أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من غضبه وعقابه وشر عباده ومن همزات الشياطين وأن يحضرون. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات التي لا يجاوزهن بر ولا فاجر من شر ما خلق وبرأ وذرأ ومن شر ما ينزل من السماء ومن شر ما يعرج فيها ومن شر ما ذرأ في الأرض ومن شر ما يخرج منها ومن شر فتن الليل والنهار ومن شر كل طارق إلا طارقا يطرق بخير يا رحمن. اللهم رب السماوات السبع ورب العرش العظيم ربنا ورب كل شيء فالق الحب والنوى ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والقرآن. أعوذ بك من شر كل شيء أنت آخذ بناصيته. أنت الأول فليس قبلك شيء وأنت الآخر فليس بعدك شيء وأنت الظاهر فليس فوقك شيء وأنت الباطن فليس دونك شيء. بسم الله أرقيك من كل شيء يؤذيك ومن شر كل نفس أو عين حاسد الله يشفيك. بسم الله أرقيك. بسم الله يبريك ومن كل داء يشفيك ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد ومن شر كل ذي عين. بسم الله أرقيك من كل شيء يؤذيك من حسد حاسد ومن كل ذي عين الله يشفيك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين وأوحينا إلى موسى أن ألق عصاك فإذا هي تلقف ما يأفكون فوقع الحق وبطل ما كانوا يعملون فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا صاغرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين قالوا آمنا برب العالمين رب موسى وهارون وقال فرعون ائتوني بكل ساحر عليم فلما جاء السحرة قال لهم موسى ألقوا ما أنتم ملقون فلما ألقوا قال موسى ما جئتم به السحر إن الله سيبطله إن الله سيبطله إن الله سيبطله إن الله لا يصلح عمل المفسدين إن الله لا يصلح عمل المفسدين إن الله لا يصلح عمل المفسدين ويحق الله الحق بكلماته ولو كره المجرمون قالوا يا موسى إما أن تلقي وإما أن نكون أول من ألقى قال بل ألقوا فإذا حبالهم وعصيهم يخيل إليه من سحرهم أنها تسعى فأوجس في نفسه خيفة موسى قلنا لا تخف إنك أنت الأعلى وألق ما في يمينك تلقف ما صنعوا إنما صنعوا كيد ساحر ولا يفلح الساحر حيث أتى ولا يفلح الساحر حيث أتى ولا يفلح الساحر حيث أتى فألقي السحرة سجدا قالوا آمنا برب هارون وموسى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
ظلماتي أنسي في خلواتي يا سعدي وهنائي القرآن حياتي. نور ملأ القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله أشرق دربي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه. يمحو عتم الليل المظلم يروي ظمأ الروح يجعلنا من أهل الله يطيب به المجروح. هو نبراس حياة يرشدنا بهداه. ملأ القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله أشرق دربي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه. يا رب فكاف من أنشأ للتحفيظ صروح هي دور للنور وفيها عطر الطهر يفوح. هيا يا من تاه فالقرآن نجاه. القلب ففاض ففاض بحب كتاب الله. أشرق قلبي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه. شكرا يا رباه. اليوم نكرم من حفظوا حفل ثم نروح، لكن الكل لدرجات في الجنات طموح. غايتنا الرحمن نتطلع لرضاه. القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله. أشرق دربي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه. شكرا يا رباه. شكرا يا رباه.
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How is everybody doing today? Ready to get started, inshallah? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alright, so today we're going to start the lesson. We're going to do ayahs 215 through 220. Everyone please set mushaf and type 1 when you're ready to start. Please repeat after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه قل قتال فيه كبير وصد عن سبيل الله وكفر به والمسجد الحرام وإخراج أهله منه أكبر عند الله والفتنة أكبر من القتل ولا يزالون يقاتلونكم حتى يردوكم عن دينكم إن استطاعوا ومن يرتد منكم عن دينه فيمت وهو كافر فأولئك حبطت أعمالهم في الدنيا والآخرة وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لأعنتكم Inna Allah azizun hakim. Alright, so shall I stop here for today? The homework, as always, is to listen to recitation once and then recite it 3 times with the reciter. And then after you're done, please go ahead and mark the checklist. Inshallah, see everyone next week. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you all? Alhamdulillah, nice to see you all. Started with Tajweed. Ahlan wa sahlan. Marhaban. How was your week? Good, alhamdulillah. Busy finishing the assignment. Good, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. So we will continue today, inshallah, where we left last week. We were doing Tafseer 204 onwards. We stopped somewhere at 206. But before that, I'll quickly go over the, alhamdulillah, you all were very good, mashallah, with the assignments, just the general concerns. I'll make the du'as and then we'll, inshallah, just not many, just 1 or 2 students maybe had some concern. I'll just discuss so that in case you all had anything in your mind, it could resolve it, inshallah. Okay. Yeah, 207, we'll just start with the little bit ending of 206 so that we refresh ourselves, inshallah. Okay. So before that, let's start today. With all praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhika wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma la uhsi sanaka alayk anta kama asnayta ala nafsik. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Rabbana lakal hamdu hamdan kasiran tayyiban mubarakan fih. Ya Allah, nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma hdina wa saddidna. Oh Allah, guide us, help us, and make us learn your knowledge. Every day we are learning something new. Enable us, open our chest so that we understand it and then bring it into our actions. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So inshallah, assignments and quizzes are just a part of organizing ourselves and knowing how much we have grasped what we are trying to learn, inshallah. So about the assignments, it's a general assignments, and many students before you from the courses in the beginning have attempted them. They won't be graded right now completely. Some questions do need manual grading. Some are graded. Alhamdulillah, barakallah, wafi hunna, for all those sisters who put in so much efforts to make tasks easy. They translated the questions. They put it in the format that we can take it online and we can take it again and again. We can come back to it and we can, the questions, we can use them. But a couple of things we have to, they are graded, some of them, but some need to be graded with hand. That is one thing. So don't panic if that's not your score. Number 2, about questions when you open in 2 browsers. So some sister had the question, she opened a question in 2 browsers and 2 browsers had the numbering different. So that is because it shuffles, okay? So the questions keep shuffling. That's allowed in the system and the computer so that your questions will not appear in the same order, but the answers which you attempt, if you attempt the right answers, you get the right points, okay? So example, in one page you open and the options for a certain answer were A and B were correct, but you open the same question, the same test in another browser, another window, and then there the answers C and D are correct, okay? Or say A and C are correct. So if you mark A and C, you'll get it correct, not if you mark A and B. But in the first browser, if you mark A and B because those answers were correct, you'll get it correct. So it's only the numbering, but the answers, the shuffling is just so that, you know, it's to keep you tested and you keep you open. Can somebody type to Maymunah, inshallah, to try to relog again, refresh, or can send the ID again? Let me send her the ID, inshallah. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not sure, Maymunah, what is your issue? If you were able to take your QCE2 class, but you were not taking it in the new browser, this class should be fine. Just try relogging, inshallah. Or take it on your phone, or if you're on the phone, come to the laptop, do something, change your browsers, inshallah, it should be fine. Say, A'udhu billah, minash shaitan rajim, astaghfirullahi rabbi, min kulli zambi. Oh Allah, make this learning easy for us. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So that was one. Second was with some questions they want, they ask you about. So hopefully that question is clear. So if you open in 10 different browsers, your choices, multiple choices, answers, the numbers, it will keep shuffling. So don't panic. As long as you know the answers, you select the right answers and you'll get full grade for that, inshallah. Okay. So if in the first window you chose one A and B and that were correct, you will get it correct. In the second window, if you open and then there's C and D are the right options and you choose C and D, then you'll get that correct. Don't stick to the A and B and C and D like little kids do. Answers, they know just A, B, C, D. Okay, but as students, we should know that it's better we do not open it in 2 browsers. We stick to opening one browser, right? Nobody would even think that you opened in different places. So it would be confusing to you yourself. That's one thing. Second thing would be about some questions. Like suppose, so one question in some assignment could be, tell us your amal. Because all this learning, Al-Huda, we emphasize on our actions, on implementation, on what we are doing, how can we change. So it's not just knowledge, not just book knowledge. We go to school, we learn it and that's it. Here we want to change ourselves for the better, to change ourselves so that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He loves our actions and we gain His pleasure, right? So that we are more, inshallah, entitled to see Him or get closer to Him. So when they ask your amal story, does not mean you have to tell your secrets or whatever you want. And it's not something that is supposed to be like between you and Allah and somebody else it is exposing. No. If you write down something, and if number one, you don't have to write any personal stories in that. It's just that have you written it for yourself, or for example, any ayat you can remember. Can somebody give me an ayah from the what we have learned so far in Juz 1? Any ayah? Somewhere it might be wabil walidaini ihsana, and be good to your parents. And then we studied, we had a homework. Or you give from what you love, right? Mimma yuhibbun, you give away from what you love. So suppose somebody likes collecting a lot of, say, some jewelry, gold rings or something. And then from that, did she feel like giving something one? So yes, I liked something, I gave that to something, and that's it. We don't need any details to whom you gave and what was your state before. Bil walideni ihsana, yes. Before I was not listening to my mom right away. Now I feel when I heard this ayah, I went and made her a phone call, or I did what she liked. So just like this, just generally. So you have 2 benefits in that. One, anybody, if ghost comes and reads it, I know if somebody doesn't feel like I don't want anybody to read it. Number one, angels are witness. So something, angels are witness, and it is written, and Kiramin Katibin, write it down. So if it is written, it's in ink, those will be for you, they will be for you, right? Like these words will be hujjah for you that you did it and you intended it. Allah knows intentions, of course, but if you write it down, it is more of a, that ink will be witness for you, number one. Number two, if somebody else reads it, that okay, you did this, they will also be motivated and it will be sadaqah jariyah for you, correct? So think it that way. Nobody wants you to be very particular. Yes, it's personal, but think about these things, the benefits, and it's all general. But it's definitely general in the sense you can't write one should do this, one should do that. It's what you did. So that it's like, you know, when you, why are groups necessary? Why did Prophet ﷺ Sunnah was mudakkara, like you would sit together and he would do a group study. So why? Because from groups, when we listen to each other's reflections, there are some things which I don't think that way, somebody else thinks in that way, and then I listen to her and I get started thinking in that way, right? Something like did not reflect to us. When we listen to others' way of reflection, when we share, even in groups, that's why the main point is of groups is togetherness, a team, that you learn from each other. Even if today you've not studied your lesson, somebody else says that lesson and then you read, oh yeah, when I listened, I hear from, because our learning is not just writing or something. Even if we listen, we can learn, right? So that's the sama part of it. And then that's another benefit. So that's why in groups, do not even ask your teachers, your like group in charges, can I do groups alone? Yes, you can do groups alone. You cannot do it at the time. Definitely you can make up, but then you're losing out the benefit, you're losing out the barakah, right? Even these classes, mashallah, recordings are available. We can sit and do ourselves. But why? Because there are a couple of things. We cannot self-discipline ourselves when we are with ourselves. Secondly, when we are giving something out in the way of Allah, when you're paying for the classes, you're more responsible. Then that money is counted. Whoever is providing you money, your parents, your spouses, they have a lot of barakah for that. They're getting tons of good deeds for using that money rather than other things in the way of gaining knowledge, because that is something Allah SWT loves. And that is something taking a person closer to Jannah, on way of Jannah, correct? And the third thing is, when you are doing it as a group, angels are surrounding us. Even ours is a virtual, a kind of gathering today. Whenever we study, it's not you're studying alone. All over the globe, only if we cannot think it that way, but for generally the angels know this all is a virtual gathering. They're surrounding us. It's like a halaqah group for us, and they're listening to what we are doing and then making dua for us. All those blessings we learned in the beginning of the class of gaining knowledge. What do the angels do? They lower their wings, they stop all their other jobs and write down these, and they also listen attentively. So all these blessings we get when we do, and when we share with each other and we learn with each other, correct? You all agree with that? Yes, alhamdulillah. So just like this, Zubair is giving example. So it's not that you're going to be too personal in that, not that somebody is going to be, you don't want somebody to know what is going on with you. No, nobody wants you to be too personal. Nobody wants to know your stories because nobody's interested, subhanAllah. But it's only when you write it generally that what you did it, it's for Allah knows it, and angels are witness that you did it and you wrote it. So alhamdulillah. So hope everything is clear. Anybody has any questions in the assignments? Any other questions? And yes, then it's between you and Allah if you don't want to attempt it. And if there are marks allotted to it and you do not get that points, then it's between you and Allah. That yes, you did not want to share it and you said no, so fine. Then if there are 2 points, you won't get 2 points, then you agree to that. You don't get those 2 points. You don't want those points, fine. Alhamdulillah, because our tests are basically the test with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's going to reward us, but not the points in this test or not scoring full. So if you don't want, you're not comfortable, that's fine also, alhamdulillah. So that's the criteria for just a general assignments. So alhamdulillah, hopefully everybody, and yes, the last point I want to say, kindly, if you have any questions, best ask in class right now or email, or we have the group on WhatsApp. Please go in that group and ask questions. So each and every person does not have to privately ask either Sabah or Sister Sabah or me. What happens is some things she doesn't know what have been asked to me, then I don't know what has been, some students have contacted her and it becomes total little bit miscommunication between us, because then we have to keep communicating. Whoever I have contacted, I have to let her know. Whoever she has contacted her, she has to let us know. Then subhanallah, it's really consuming your time, our time. And then it's best way you ask, this is the right place to ask, the class time, keep your questions for class time. If not, let's keep Thursday as a day to communicate. Whatever questions you have in the whole week, Thursday, either you email or you ask in the group, we will inshallah try to manage. Sister Sabah is also a student, even I am a student somewhere else. Then other responsibilities, as you all might be knowing, alhamdulillah. So we can keep one time for your class questions and see to it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enables us to promptly take care of them. Any questions, anything with the site or anything with anything else, you try to keep us on the same page. That way we can help you much, much better, definitely, inshallah. Okay, Jazakumullah khairan kasiran for your understanding. Keep the email active. The email is here displayed in every class. And this email, we all are on the same page. We all are aware of what's going on. And then if you ask in the group, everybody, if somebody else has the same question and his question is answered through you, you get the Sadaqah Jariyah. Inshallah. If it's too personal, then inshallah email it. Nobody else will know and we'll promptly answer it. Inshallah, before the class or once a week, inshallah, we'll keep a date. Thursday, inshallah, we can keep to answer all your queries. Jazakumullah khairan kaseera. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Inshallah, we can continue. Our classes are longer and we are trying somehow to come to, may Allah enable us to come, and we have to complete some du'as also so that we can finish a certain amount of du'as by the end of the course. But hopefully, we ask Allah to give barakah in our time so that we can go over the tafsir of our lessons and we can finish one lesson in a day, inshallah. That was our initial budget, initial judgment that we will do that, and may Allah enable us to complete. Jazakumullah khairan kaseera for all this listening and understanding. And now we can begin our tafsir, inshallah. Write one when you open your tafsir notes section, then we can begin. Yes, we are. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, inshallah, so ayah 207.
Someone whom you don't care about. Many times it happens that in a public place, there is a child who is alone, there's no parent or guardian, anybody with him, and he's running. Many people, what will they do? They will just stand and watch. They will just stand and watch. But others, what will they do? They will run after that child. And they will take that child and say, where are you going? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? Why will they do that? Because they care for that child. So when you see somebody doing something wrong, you will only stop them when you care for them. So if somebody's stopping us, then what does it mean? They are sincere to us. So we should listen. On the other hand, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and among the people, is man who يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ, he sells himself. Yashri, Sheen Ra Ya. Ishtara is to buy, and Shara Yashri is to sell. So amongst the people is the one who sells himself. Why? ابتغاء مرضات الله, to seek the pleasure of Allah. ابتغاء باغين ya, and مرضات Ra Dad Ya, from Ridwan. He sells himself to seek the pleasure of Allah. A completely opposite character, a completely different personality. This is a very common style of the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions opposites together, one after the other. For example, where Jannah is mentioned, immediately after, hellfire is mentioned. Good deeds are mentioned, sins are mentioned. Right? Likewise, the evil character, the bad character is mentioned, and the good character is mentioned. Gratitude is mentioned, ingratitude is mentioned. The result of good efforts is mentioned, the result of bad endeavors is mentioned. Why? So that a person can use his own mind and see what leads to what. He can use his own mind and decide for himself what he wants to do. You know, one is that we are told everything in the Quran. You should sell yourself for the sake of Allah. You should dedicate yourself for the sake of Allah. You should not be a stubborn disputer. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in this way, a contrast, characters, then it's as though you can see it before your eyes. You can picture the whole image. And when you can see it, you know what you want and what you don't want. You know, like if you're ever watching something on the television and you see a person who's very bad and a person who's very good, immediately your heart goes to who? The person who's very good. Right? If you're watching two teams playing, right? And you see that one team players, they're being very rowdy and very aggressive, then immediately you're like, I don't like them. I like the other team. Unless you're very firm in those that you support. Anyway, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents opposite characters in the Quran so that we can decide for ourselves what we want. So on the other hand, among the people is the one who sells himself in order to attain the pleasure of Allah. What does it mean by this? He sells himself? In the past, yes, people would be sold, right? As slaves. But a person would never go and sell himself. What does it mean by this? That a person sells himself to earn the pleasure of Allah. What it means is that a person dedicates himself entirely, wholeheartedly, to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what is included in nafs? What does nafs mean? Yourself, your identity, your body, your soul, your spirit, your mind, your intellect, your heart, your feelings. Everything about you. You. So a person dedicates himself, his body, his feelings, his efforts, everything to attain the pleasure of Allah. Who is this person? Is it one particular individual? Not necessarily. Some have said that these verses were revealed concerning which Sahabi? Do you know? Suhaib al-Rumi. That companion, a Rumi, as you can tell, he was not an Arab. He was a Roman. He was brought into Makkah as a slave. Because in the past, people would go, attack a tribe or attack a people, and whoever they would get, they would be taken as captives and sold as slaves or kept as slaves. So he was brought in as a slave to Makkah. Eventually, he got his freedom, and he got into business, and he made a lot of money. And he embraced Islam as well. But you know what happened to Muslims in Makkah? They were persecuted. This is why the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims migrated to Medina. So Suhaib al-Rumi, he also wanted to migrate to Medina. So when he was migrating, he left Makkah. He was right outside. The Quraysh, the Makkans, they came. They stopped him. They said, you can't go. You came here empty-handed, now you leave with all your money? If you want to go, then you better leave everything of yours behind. Imagine. Somebody puts that condition. If you want to go, you cannot take anything of yours. So you know what he did? He left everything. He left everything. He said, keep it. Keep it. And he went to Medina empty-handed. And when he got there, the Prophet ﷺ, he told him that your tijara has been very profitable. That you made a trade with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over here. When you left everything for the sake of Allah, to earn the pleasure of Allah, you wanted to get the reward of hijrah, you wanted to migrate, you made a very good trade. You had a very good business. So these verses were revealed concerning him. However, they are not limited to him. These verses can apply to any person, any individual who dedicates himself in whatever capacity that he can to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Indeed, Allah has purchased from the believers their lives and their properties so that they can have Jannah in return. This trade, this exchange has already taken place. So amongst the people is the one who yashri nafsahu, he sells himself to earn the pleasure of Allah. The purpose, the goal of his entire life, of his striving, is that somehow Allah will be happy with me. Somehow I can earn the pleasure of Allah. And if a person is striving to earn the pleasure of Allah, where do you think they will stop? When do you think they will stop? When? When? After Ramadan? No, they can't stop until they die. وَاعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship your Lord until death, the certainty of death comes to you. Don't stop that. Until your last breath. The person who is truly striving to earn the pleasure of Allah, he will not strive only in the month of Ramadan. He will strive afterwards as well. He will continue later on as well. So it means that if he prayed Fajr in Ramadan, he will also pray Fajr after Ramadan. If he recited Quran in Ramadan, he will also recite it afterwards. I'm not saying that that person will continue to pray Taraweeh for the rest of the year and continue to fast every single day. No. But the striving is still there, but it becomes different. The effort is still there. Yes, it may be different, but a person is still striving to earn the pleasure of Allah. And you know, sometimes to do certain things, you really have to sacrifice. You really feel as though you have no say over there. As if you've literally become a slave. You can't make your own choice. You can't make your own decision. You don't have that choice anymore. You know, for example, to earn the pleasure of Allah, let's say you decided, I'm going to study the Quran. And you say, okay, this weekend course, I'm going to sign up for that. But then what happens when you're tired? When you're waiting for the weekend all week, and then comes Saturday morning and you're like, it doesn't feel like a weekend at all. My week never ends. I never have a weekend. You're selling yourself to earn the pleasure of Allah. You've literally enslaved yourself. You don't have that freedom that other people have. Other people can sleep in, they can take it easy. They can go to the mall, they can shop, they can, stay up very late in the night so that they can sleep in the morning. But you can't do that. They can take their weekends easy, but you can't do that. So you literally have to sell yourself to earn the pleasure of Allah. مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. And when a person wants to earn the pleasure of Allah, then it becomes easy to dedicate himself. It becomes easy to sell himself. It becomes easy to do the hardest of things even. Because once a person strives to earn the pleasure of Allah, he does something good that was very challenging, very hard. And then when he is able to achieve something, then he feels good about it. He wants to continue. He wants to keep going. That brings him happiness. Then going to the mall doesn't bring him happiness. Then sleeping in on Saturday morning, Sunday morning does not bring him happiness. It's the fact that, we are done with how many verses? 200 plus verses. That is what makes him excited. Not spending $200 in the mall. Spending $200 in the mall? Like, oh my God, 200 I spent? But when you've gained 200 verses, that makes you more excited. Completely opposite person. What does Allah say? وَاللَّهُ رَؤُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah is most compassionate, very kind with the servants. Ra'uf, Ra Hamza Fa. Ra'fa is mercy, compassion. But it's slightly different from Rahmah. Ra'fa is to have pity for someone on seeing them in difficulty. That you see someone struggling, striving, and your heart is filled with compassion for them. Your heart is filled with love for them. For example, if you ask someone to do something for you and you know that it's difficult. Let's say you're sick, you're in bed, you can't move, and you want food. So your mother, or your daughter, or your sister, whoever, they bring food for you. And you're like, I need a spoon too. And you feel shy of asking them. They cooked the food, they forgot the spoon. How can I ask them? I feel shy. So you ask them. You can see the fatigue on their face. They're tired. But you don't even make a request and they go and fulfill it for you. How do you feel? Your heart is full of love for them. You're so grateful. You're so happy. You're so happy. So Allah, He is Ra'uf bil-ibad. He is very compassionate towards the servants. What servants? Those who are just chilling and doing nothing? Wasting their lives, wasting their time? No. Those servants who are striving to earn the pleasure of Allah. Those servants who are standing in prayer and their feet are hurting, but they don't stop. Those servants who are hungry and thirsty because they've been fasting, Those servants who may be hurting in their bodies, but still, they made a commitment, so they're gone to fulfill that commitment. You know, when a person is reading the Quran, reading the lesson, and you're so tired, you're falling asleep, you're like, no, 7 times, I have to do it 7 times. And you feel like putting the juz away, but like, no, I have to do it 7 times. And you stay awake, you force yourself to stay awake, and you do it 7 times. You think your striving is useless? No. Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. Whenever you're getting tired, think about it. Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. Allah loves me at this time. Allah loves me at this time. You're reciting the Quran and your throat is drying up and you're out of breath. And the teacher's like, louder, again. And you're like, stop. And you still keep going. At that time, remember, Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. I am striving, but the more I strive, Allah will be more merciful towards me. But this can only be done by the one who really wants the pleasure of Allah. Because a person who doesn't want the pleasure of Allah, what will he say? You know, forget it. Done it 5 times enough, man. I know the lesson. Why do you have to do it 7 times? Likewise, a person will say, I know how to recite. I'll read later. I can't bother right now. Who can strive? The one who wants the pleasure of Allah. And the more he strives, the more Allah loves him. Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. In a hadith we learn that the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah says, Man aada li waliyan faqad adhantuhu bil harb. That anyone who opposes my wali, my friend, then I declare war against him. Who is the friend of Allah? The one who is an obedient servant to Allah. Any person who opposes the friend of Allah, Allah declares war against him. What does it mean? That if you harm Allah's friend, Allah will harm you. And if you are Allah's friend, somebody dares to harm you, Allah will protect you. Allah will keep you safe. You suffer, Allah will protect you. You suffer hardship, Allah will reward you. For every bit of pain that you suffer, you experience, Allah will be rewarding you at the same time. And the hadith continues that the servant comes closer to Allah by performing the obligations that Allah has imposed on him. And then when a person performs the voluntary deeds, he comes even closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the hadith ends with this, that وَإِن سَأَلَنِي, and if the servant asks me, لَأُعْطِيَنَّهُ, surely I will definitely give to him. وَلَئِن إِسْتَعَاذَنِي لَأُعِذَنَّهُ, that if he seeks refuge with me, then definitely I will give protection to him. That if the servant is ever in trouble, then who will take care of him? Allah will. Because Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. When you are striving for the sake of Allah to earn His pleasure, and you suffer in that cause, whatever that suffering may be, remember, Allah loves you at that time. And when Allah loves you, then everything is fine. Then all your problems, He will take care of them. Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. Let's listen to the recitation.
ومن الناس من يعجبك قوله في الحياة الدنيا ويشهد الله على ما في قلبه وهو ألد الخصام وإذا تولى سعى في الأرض ليفسد فيها ويهلك الحرث والنسل والله لا يحب الفساد وإذا قيل له اتق الله أخذته العزة بالإثم فحسبه جهنم ولبئس المهاد ومن الناس من يشري نفسه ابتغاء مرضات الله والله رؤوف بالعباد.
Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who have believed, udkhulu fi silmi kaffah, enter into Islam completely. Because Allah wants us to come closer to Him. Allah wants to bless us even more. He gave us the blessing of Iman, He gave us the blessing of Islam, and now Allah wants to show His ra'fa to us. He wants to be even more kind to us. He wants to reward us. So for that reason, Allah says, "Udkhulu fi silmi kafa." What are you waiting for? Strive. Come forward. Do something. Don't just sit there, waste your time, waste your life away. Do something. And what should you do? Udkhulu fi silmi kafa. Udkhulu, dal, kha, lam. Dukhul is to enter. So you should enter, all of you should enter fi silm. In a silm. What does silm mean? Submission. It's referring to the religion of Islam. How should you enter into Islam? Kafa. Completely. Kafa is from the root letters kaf, fa. And kafa, as an adjective, it means when something is done in entirety, without exception, without leaving anything out. So in other words, don't pick and choose what you want to do, what you want to leave out. Rather, do everything that you're supposed to do. Implement all of the commands. Stay away from all of the prohibitions. Adopt all of the sha'ir. Don't make exceptions for yourself. Udkhulu fi silmi kafa. Why? Because when you enter into Islam completely, then you will be safe. This is just like if a person is trying to get into the bus or into the car. And he says, you know what, I love the fresh air. I love the sunlight. Let me just put one foot in and let the other foot hang. Let me just sit on the seat and let me just be outside as well. You know, let me just hang on the other side. What's going to happen? One turn and he's on the ground. Or the door is going to slam shut on him and he's going to either break his fingers or break his arm or something or the other. Something very harmful may happen to him. Do you think that's a wise person? Do you think that's a wise person? No. Who's the wise person? Either you sit in the car or you don't sit in the car. Right? So, alhamdulillah, Allah has given us the opportunity to sit in the car. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. But now what should we do? Get into the car properly. Sit comfortably. Put the seatbelt on. And shut the door as well. Because if we don't follow the whole procedure, then we are going to put ourselves in danger. Likewise, in Islam, there are many things that we are supposed to do, many things that we're supposed to stay away from. Many things we are to adopt, many things we are to give up. It could be habits, it could be our lifestyle, it could be the kind of clothes we wear, it could be the kind of speech we use, it could be, the kind of things that we eat, it could be the way we deal with others, it could be the way we buy and sell, could be many things. So, udkhulu fi silmi kafa, what does it mean? Become a complete Muslim. Enter into Islam completely, become a complete Muslim. Sometimes people say, oh, they're a practicing Muslim. Not too practicing Muslim. What does that mean? A person is either Muslim or he's not. Allah tells us, udkhulu fi silmi kafa. Don't pick and choose. What did the Bani Israel do? أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. You believe in part of the book and you reject some of it? This is not right. We learned earlier, صِبْغَةَ اللَّهِ. Take on the color of Allah. Dip yourself, immerse yourself in the sibgha of Allah, in the color of Allah, so that you can enter into Islam completely. But if you don't do that, then you're going to harm yourself. You're going to put yourselves in danger. And not just in dunya, but in the akhirah as well. So, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, udkhulu fi silmi kafa, submit fully. And what does it mean by fully? Apparently, on the outward and on the inward. Some people say, I have fear of Allah in my heart, but I don't pray. I love God. I don't think wearing the hijab is that important. I don't think eating halal is all that important. I don't think fasting in Ramadan is all that important. It is important. We need to submit to Allah on the outward and on the inward. At home and also when we're at school. In Ramadan and also outside of Ramadan. At the masjid and even outside of the masjid. Not that in one place we look one way and in another place we look completely different. People wonder, is it the same person? No, we should not be like that. Because someone who has truly entered into Islam completely, wholeheartedly, then he will be the same everywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he's at home, or she's at the mall, or she's at school or college. No. She will pray there. She will pray everywhere. She will have fear of Allah everywhere. So, udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Enter into Islam completely in order to save yourselves. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا. And do not follow, تَابَعِينَ. Do not follow خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, the footsteps of shaitan. Don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. Why? Because إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. He is to you an open, a clear enemy. What are the footsteps of shaitan? خُطُوَات is a plural of خُطْوَة. خَطَى, wow. And خُطْوَة is the gap, the distance between two steps. And خُطُوَات, steps. And one step leads to the other. One step leads to the other. So don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. The footsteps of a person indicate the way that he has gone, the path that he has adopted. For example, if you see on sand that there are certain footsteps that are going, towards the right side, and there's another set of footsteps that have gone towards the left side, and there's another set of footsteps that have gone forwards, right? Then you see that one person went on the right, another person went on the left, another person went forwards. So what does that mean? That these are the ways that the different people took. These are the ways that the different people adopted. Sometimes on snow you see early in the morning that how people have walked across the park, and you say, oh, because the school is there, so all the kids went this way. Right? You can see that. So the footsteps of shaitan are the ways of shaitan, the ways that he has adopted, his manners, his ways of doing things. What is it that shaitan does? What are the footsteps of shaitan? What are his ways? What are his habits? What are his actions? They can be summarized into disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every way that Allah does not like, every way that Allah does not approve of. Every way that Allah does not like, that He does not approve of, whether it is doing that which Allah has forbidden or refusing to do that which Allah has commanded. No matter how clear the command is. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him very clearly, Iblis, prostrate to Adam. What did he do? What did he do? He refused. Was he unaware of the command? Was he unaware? What asked him to do? He was fully aware. Did he not see others obeying Allah? Yes, he did. But yet he did not accept. This is the way of shaitan. What? That a person knows what Allah wants him to do, yet he says no. He makes an exception for himself. My situation is different. Just like Iblis did. I am better than him. I am better than Adam. I am made from fire, he's made from clay. Yes, you have told us to prostrate, however, I'm not going to because of this and this reason. What does Allah tell us? Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Enter into Islam completely. Don't make exceptions for yourself. Don't say your situation is different and you can't do this and you can't do that. No. When Allah has told you to do something, then do it. If you go for your driving test, they ask you, when can you borrow somebody's license? When can you drive without a license? What's the answer? Never. Never. Even if you have to take somebody to the hospital, right? Even if you desperately need to go for an appointment and your father is not home or your sister is not home, can you just borrow their license? Can you drive without a license? You can't do that. It's not acceptable. There are rules of the road that you have to follow. And if you start making exceptions for yourself, then what's going to happen? There are going to be accidents on the road all the time. And eventually, your license, if you have one, will be taken away. Because driving is a privilege, it's not a right. Likewise, as Muslims, there are certain things that we have to do. And if we make exceptions for ourselves that no, because of this reason, because of that reason, I have that excuse, we're not playing a game here. This is serious. Allah tells us, "Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa, wa la tattabi'u khutuwat ash-shaytan." Don't do what shaitan did. And especially, la tattabi'u khutuwat ash-shaytan, there are certain actions which have been made very clear that they are the actions of shaitan. That is how shaitan does certain things. For example, when it comes to eating and drinking, clearly in a hadith which is in Sahih Muslim, we learn that eating with the left, drinking with the left, this is whose way? Shaitan's way. So don't say, oh, I have my spoon in my right, or I have my knife in my right hand, so I have to eat with my left hand. No, never make that exception. You know, many times it happens that if people are, cutting something with the right hand and they have to use a fork in their left hand, they will eat with their left hand as well. No, we can't do that. Even if we're sitting in a restaurant, even if we're sitting in front of other people, it doesn't matter. When we have been told, don't eat with the left hand, don't drink with the left hand, we are not going to do that. It's not allowed, because this is what shaitan does. And a person might think, what's the big deal? I mean, it's the same thing, hand. What's the big deal? It is a big deal, because it starts from these little things. When you eat with your right hand, you're more conscious of Allah, more fearful of Allah. Aren't you? And if you're like, oh, whatever, doesn't matter, I'll eat with my left, it's the same thing. Then what's going to happen? You're going to become more neglectful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is going to affect you in another situation. If you can disobey Allah now, you can disobey Allah at any other time. If you can ignore His command now, you can ignore Him at any other time. And it's these little ways through which shaitan gains power over us. If he can make us eat with the left hand, then he can make us do other things as well. So eating with the left, drinking with the left. This is all the actions of shaitan. Another hadith, which is in Ibn Majah, it tells us giving something and taking something in the left is also of the actions of shaitan. So when we are receiving something, like somebody's passing on a piece of paper, a pen, a pencil, how should we take it? In which hand? In the right hand. And when we are giving something, passing something on, which hand should we pass it on from? The right hand, not the left one. What should we use our left hand for? There are many things that we can do with the left hand, many things that we do together, right, with both hands. For example, you're lifting a pot, okay? You are putting something away. You are opening a drawer or whatever. It's best to use the right hand for important things, for good things. Okay, but we know that when it comes to using the washroom, then yes, the left hand is used over there. Okay, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be extremely decent, very organized, very particular about the way we do our things as well. Many times it happens that children, when they're very young, they have more strength in their left hand, or they're able to use their left hand more for whatever reason. They're young at that time, and we can train them to use their right hand as well. So, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. One more thing, one more action that is of the habits, the actions of shaitan, is iltifat, looking around in salah. Shaitan tells us to do that. So we're standing and we're looking at another person or at the carpet. What should we be looking at when we are praying? Where should our eyes be? At the place of sajda, not anywhere else. In your ruku', okay, you may look between your feet, but otherwise no way. You can't look around. Because when a person looks around, even for a split second, then that part of his salah, it's as though shaitan snatched it away from him, deprived him of that part of salah, so he's not rewarded for it at all. And if a person looks away repeatedly, then Allah turns away from him. If a person is praying and he looks away once, and he looks away again, that's it. Allah doesn't care about his salah anymore. Allah turns away from him. So, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Why? Because إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. He is to you a clear enemy. عَدُوٌ عِنْدَ الْوَاوِ مُبِينٌ بَيَانٌ. Meaning his enmity is very clear, and he has made his enmity very obvious to you as well. Don't you see how he refused to prostrate to Adam? I mean, how much more do you want? What more do you want to see to realize that shaitan is your clear enemy? He's made his enmity evident to you. And you know what? Every single person experiences in their life at least once that they're in trouble. They're like, shaitan. It's because of shaitan. Shaitan made me so angry, or I listened to shaitan, or he made me sleep in, or he made me press the shaitan button, you know, the snooze button on the alarm clock. There are many times in our lives that we are in trouble and we're like, it's because of shaitan. So Allah is telling us, إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. He is your clear enemy. Then don't follow him. Don't listen to him. Don't do what he did. And who is an adu? Someone who wants evil for you, who doesn't want good for you. Shaitan doesn't want you to just suffer in this world. He wants you to be tortured in hellfire for eternity. He doesn't want to just kill you. Killing you was easier. He wants you to suffer in hellfire. That's what he wants. For every moment you are tortured, that's what he wants from you. Recently I read, one of the shuyukh had written that if you hear about these people, you know, attacking children and attacking people in their houses and killing them, imagine you are there and your family is killed by these murderers. How would you feel? How would you feel? Extremely angry that they killed my family, my brothers, my children, my cousins, my relatives, my neighbors. You hate them. You hate such people, the murderers of your friends, of your families. But imagine shaitan is a greater enemy to us. He doesn't just want to kill us. Killing us would be easy for him. What he wants is that we end up in hellfire and that we suffer over there. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. So when he's your clear enemy, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him, because your enemy would never tell you what is good for you. Never. It doesn't befit a person who has some intellect, who uses their mind to listen to their enemy, to do what their enemy is telling them to do. And it doesn't befit a believer at all. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. فَإِن زَلَلْتُمْ. Then if you slipped, زَي لام لام, زَلَّ, to slip. So if you slip, مِن بَعْدِ, after, مَا جَاءَتْكُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ, after the clear proofs have come to you. Bayyinat is a plural of bayyinah, clear evidence, clear proof. And what does it refer to? The Quran, the clear commands. So if you slip after the clear commands, the clear instructions have come to you, meaning you know what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. You know it very clearly, but still you slip after that. Whose fault is it then? Whose fault is it then? It's our fault. It's just as you're driving on the highway and it says, road slippery. The warning signs are there. You're listening to the radio, they're telling you, drive carefully. But you're like, yeah, whatever. These people, they're just afraid. They're just afraid. And you start speeding. And if your car ends up in a skid and you have an accident, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? It's your fault. Can you say that, oh, you should have put more salt on the highway? Can you say that? Can you sue the government or whatever? You can't do that. They're going to say the warning signs were there. You're told what the speed limit is. You know about the rules of the road. You slip, your fault, your mistake. You suffer the consequences. You bear the losses yourself. When does a person slip? When he's not attentive, when he's not careful. And what it means by slipping over here in this context is that you end up doing something wrong. You end up listening to shaitan. You end up disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why is it called zalal? Why is it called slipping? Because what's the result of slipping? What's the consequence of slipping? Suffering, destruction. You fall and you end up hurting yourself. You end up harming yourself. Either yourself or your property. This is just like a person is not attentive and he's walking and he ends up falling in a ditch. He didn't bother to wear snow boots. It's extremely icy. And he slips and he fractures his bone. That's the end result. This is why it's called zalal. Disobeying Allah is not something that's small. Disregarding the commands of Allah is not something that's small. It's a big deal. Always remember that. So if we miss a prayer, it's not something small. It's a big deal. Likewise, if we deliberately don't fast, when there's no reason not to fast, we don't fast. This is not something that's small. It's a big deal. فَإِن زَلَلْتُمْ مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْكُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ. The clear proofs are there. You know what you should be doing, yet you disobey. فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. It's a great warning. Then you should know that indeed Allah is mighty and He is Hakim. Aziz, Ain Zai Zai, Izzah. What does Izzah mean? What does Izzah mean? I told you earlier. Honor. So Allah is Aziz, meaning He is very honorable. Another meaning of Izzah is Izzatul Qahr, meaning a person is dominant, he has the upper hand, no one can overpower him. So Allah is Aziz, meaning He is mighty, no one can defeat Him. Another meaning of Izzah is Izzatul Imtina', meaning to be able to prevent someone from doing something. Imtina', that's what it means. So Izzatul Imtina' is that no one can prevent Him. He's so mighty, He's so powerful, that no one at all can prevent Him from doing what He wants to do. So if you disobey Allah, you slip, you harm yourself, you suffer, then you should know that Allah is mighty. He can punish you. You can't avoid His punishment. And He is Hakim, from hukm, judgment. That He can make a judgment against you. And He can implement that. And no one can prevent that. No one can save you then. No one can protect you then. And it happens that when we disobey Allah, then we suffer the consequences in our personal lives. We see the effects in perhaps our finances, in the way our relationships are with other people. Just the other day, somebody was mentioning that they attended a khutbah al-nikah, in which the speaker, he was saying that when you don't fear Allah, when you disobey Allah, then you see its consequences in your children and in your spouse. That your children become disobedient and your spouse also is not in good terms with you anymore. When you disobey Allah. This is why we see that in Surah Al-Talaq, taqwa is mentioned so much. Have fear of Allah. Do what you're supposed to do. And then the relationships will improve by themselves. Allah will cause them to become better. But if we disobey Allah, then we see the consequences in our lives. Because فَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. So we see that nobody deliberately slips. But a person slips when he's not being mindful, when he's not being attentive. And that is his fault. So when we do something wrong, even if it was an accident, we are at fault. You know, there's something I can never understand. That I had a lot of difficulty understanding, and eventually I got it. Okay? That why is it that if you have an accident, you end up hitting somebody from the back, it's always your fault? Why? Why? I mean, it was just that split second when you weren't paying attention, and the person in front of you, they slammed their brakes, you didn't realize you didn't intentionally hit someone, so why do you have to suffer the loss? Why is an accident an accident? Why do you have to suffer a loss? Because you could have avoided that if you were more attentive. So when you weren't attentive, it is your fault. Just like Adam alayhi salam. He was in Jannah. He was told very clearly, don't eat of the fruit of that tree. He wasn't being attentive at that time, and he ate. It was his fault. And this is what shaitan does to us. Just like he made Adam a.s. disobey Allah, he makes us disobey Allah as well. And we realize afterwards. So when we realize afterwards, what should we do? We realize that we have slipped. What should we do? Get up. Make amends. Say sorry. apologize, turn to Allah, seek His forgiveness. Because you can slip. Slipping is possible. But the problem is when you stay there. You have to get up. You have to face the reality. It was like somebody hit somebody's car and they just put their head on the steering wheel and they start crying. Is it gonna solve the problem? No. Or somebody gets up, they get out of their car and they start kicking their car. Is it gonna solve the problem? Or they, leave their car and they walk away. Is that gonna solve the problem? You can't ignore the reality. You have to face it. Likewise, it happens that, for example, you end up missing your salah. Think about it. Why did you miss your fajr? Why? Why did you miss your fajr? Take it seriously. Don't say, oh, never mind. Allah is forgiving. It's a serious problem. Reflect on your life. Reflect on your bedtime routine. What do you do at night that prevents you from getting up in the morning? Are you sleeping at the wrong time? Did you pray Isha properly? Did you say your nighttime adhkar? Your bedtime adhkar? Did you say them? Did you say Ayatul Kursi? Did you follow the sunnah? Did you sleep with wudu? Did you have the intention to get up for Fajr? Did you set an alarm? Did you do anything to get up for Fajr on time? If you didn't, then it is your fault for sure. So what do we have to do then? When we slip, get up. Do something different. Avoid that mistake from repeating again in the future. And we have to avoid, because if we don't, فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. Allah is mighty. He knows what we're doing and He can punish us. Think about it. If Allah asks us on the Day of Judgment, why did you miss your Fajr? What response do we have? What answer do we have? What can we say at that time? Many times we think, oh, my mom didn't wake me up for Fajr. My older sister didn't. My dad didn't. Well, you know what? You're an adult now. And you have to get up yourself. It's your responsibility to wake up for Fajr. Your father won't be questioned about your Fajr. You will be questioned about your Fajr. Recently, somebody mentioned that they have experienced it in their life, that when they recite Surah Al-Mulk at night, then they don't miss their Fajr at all. And the day they don't recite Surah Al-Mulk, right, at night, then they end up missing the Fajr. Because when you go to sleep in that mode of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you're given tawfiq to worship Allah even more. But if you slept after watching a movie, after watching television, for 2-3 hours, then please, don't even think you're going to get up then. Then you are going to sleep in. You are going to end up missing your Fajr. So we should take this seriously, not just a matter of Salatul Fajr, but everything in our lives. That if we slip after matters are very clear to us, if we end up doing something wrong, then we should remember that Allah is Aziz, He is Hakim. We cannot run away from Him. لا ملجأ ولا منجا منك إلا إليك. There is no refuge against you except to you. A person cannot run away from Allah, but he can only run to Him. فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. Allah says, هَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ? Are they waiting for? Meaning, what are they waiting for? Why won't they enter into Islam completely? Why don't they pray? Why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? هَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ? What are they waiting for? I remember somebody, I asked them recently that, why don't you learn how to cook? I mean, it's about time. You're quite old now and you should be cooking, and there are other people who are dependent on you. It's about time. And they said, I'm waiting for the sky to turn green. What does that mean? Never. I don't want to. But if a person does that, then who are they harming? Then who are they harming? Themselves. Likewise, if a person does not take their Fajr seriously, if they don't take the recitation of Quran seriously, if they don't take their akhlaq seriously, they're fulfilling their promises seriously, they're paying zakat seriously, they're fulfilling their obligations seriously, Allah is saying, what are you waiting for? هَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ? Are they waiting for? From نَظَرَ نُنْظَرَ. Are they waiting for? إِلَّا except, and that يَأْتِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ, Allah comes to them. في ظلل, in covers, من الغمام, of clouds. ظلل is the plural of ظلة, ظا, lam, lam. And ظلة is something that is above you, providing shade. Okay? So it's like a canopy, a cover. So in covers of what? Al-ghamam, clouds. We have done the word ghamam earlier. Are they waiting that Allah should come to them in covers of clouds, meaning with the clouds, wal-malaikah, and the angels should also come? When will this happen? On the Day of Judgment. So in other words, are they waiting for death? Are they waiting for the Day of Judgment to come? Because we learn in Surah Al-Naba, ayah 19, وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا. The sky will be opened up, it will be as though doors. In Surah Al-Fajr, we learn كَلَّا إِذَا دُكَّتِ الْأَرْضُ دَكًّا دَكًّا وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ صَفًّا صَفًّا. Your Lord will come, the angels will come. So are they waiting for Allah to come? Are they waiting for the angels to come? Because when that will happen, وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرِ, then the matter will be decided, قَافْ ضَادْ يَا, it will be decreed, meaning then the final judgment will take place. وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُرْجَعُ الْأُمُورِ, and all matters return to Allah anyway. تُرْجَعْ, rajim, ayn, and umur, plural of amr. All matters return to Allah anyway. In other words, why are they procrastinating? There are many things that we know we should be doing, but we keep delaying them. We keep deferring them. Like for example, we know that as a Muslim woman, we have to wear the hijab. We keep delaying, no, when I'm 16, no, when I'm 18, no, when I'm 20. Right? We keep delaying it. Allah says, what are you waiting for? You know it's a part of Islam. You know you're supposed to do it. What are you waiting for? Likewise, we know that we have to pray sunnah. Right? We should pray sunnah. After Dhuhr, after Maghrib, after Isha, before Fajr, we should pray. But we're like, you know what? These days I'm very busy. These days, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And then one excuse after the other. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for death? Are you waiting for the Day of Judgment to come? When you see the angels, when you see Allah, then you'll be like, okay, I better do something. But if you want to do something at that time, can you do it? It's not going to benefit you then, because وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرِ, then the final judgment will be made. No matter how many prayers you pray on the Day of Judgment, it's not going to help you. No matter how much sadaqah you give on the Day of Judgment, it's not going to help you. No matter how many hijabs you try to wear on the Day of Judgment, on the day of your death, it's not going to help you. You have to do it now. You have to pray sunnah now. You have to get up and pray Fajr now. You have to recite Quran now. You have to say your adhkar now. Don't delay. وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُرْجَعُ الْأُمُورِ. All matters are returning to Allah anyway. And your case will also be taken to Allah. Allah will judge you as well. So before that time comes, do something. You still have doubts? Allah says, Sal Bani Israel. Ask the children of Israel. Sal. This is from Sin Hamza Lab. Su'al is to question. Sal, it's a command. Ask. When do you say that? When you're offended, when you're upset. You don't believe me? You're not convinced? Okay, go ahead and ask so-and-so. Ask her, ask him. So Allah is telling us, ask the Bani Israel. Ask them, Kam ataynahum. How many we gave them? Min ayatin, of ayat that is bayyinah, clear. How many clear signs we gave them? What does ayah refer to? Clear miracles, clear evidences, clear commands that were given to the Bani Israel. This includes the Torah, this includes the miracles that they were shown at the hands of Musa a.s., at the hands of Isa a.s., and all the prophets that were sent to them, all the commands they were given. So ask them how many clear signs we gave them, but what was their reaction? Were they more obedient to Allah on receiving those blessings? On receiving the blessing of Iman? On receiving the blessing of guidance? Were they more obedient? No. We know what Bani Israel did. We have learned about them in the first juz. What did they do? When the book was given to them, نَبَذَ فَرِيقٌ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ. They threw the book back as if they didn't even know the book existed. Likewise, some people do the same thing with the Quran. They put the Quran away as if it doesn't even exist. They disregard what is mentioned in the Quran as if it is not even mentioned in it. Some people, very openly, and others in a very passive way. Some people very openly, like for example, they say, oh, you don't have to pray like that, you don't have to wear hijab, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. Whereas it's clearly mentioned in the Quran. And others, they know, but their actions show that they know nothing. Why is it that we're always trying to convince the non-Muslims that we Muslims are different kinds? There are some Muslims who are practicing and other Muslims who are not practicing. You know, this is what Muslims do, but this is not what Islam says. Because our actions contradict Islam. Right? Our actions contradict Islam. This is why all our efforts are in trying to separate Muslims from Islam. So the Bani Israel, they ignored the guidance that Allah gave them. What are we doing? Allah says, ask them. كَمْ آتَيْنَاهُمْ مِنْ آيَةٍ بَيِّنَةٍ وَمَنْ يُبَدِّلْ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. And whoever changes bada lam, whoever changes the blessing of Allah, مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُ, after it has come to him. How is the blessing changed? How is the blessing altered? What it means over here is that the blessing, when a person receives it, he should be grateful for it. Right? But if he is ungrateful for the blessing, then Allah takes that blessing away. So Allah gave him the blessing, he was ungrateful, so that blessing was changed for him. Meaning it was taken away or it was replaced by something else. So whoever changes the blessing of Allah after it has come to him, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ, then Allah is indeed severe in retribution. Iqab, ayn qaf ba, retribution, punishment, infliction of punishment. Because when a person is grateful for a blessing, then Allah will increase, multiply that blessing for him. But when a person is ungrateful, then Allah takes it away. In the Quran we are told, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا. Have you not seen, have you not reflected on the state of the people who changed the blessing of Allah into disbelief? Meaning when Allah gave them blessing, it was an opportunity for them to be more obedient. But instead of being obedient, they became disobedient. So they themselves changed their situation. Allah made their situation so good, but they were ungrateful, so the blessings were taken away from them. This is a continuation of what we learned earlier. When you're obedient, Wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad. And when a person is disobedient, when he follows the footsteps of shaitan, then the blessings of Allah are taken away from him. He sees the consequences in his life, in his personal life, in his family, in his children, in the way things are going for him. Nothing seems to work. He's frustrated all the time. This is a consequence of sins. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. And this is just a punishment of this world. What about in the hereafter? Let's listen to the recitation.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين فإن زللتم من بعد ما جاءتكم البينات فاعلموا أن الله عزيز حكيم هل ينظرون إلا أن يأتيهم الله في ظلل من الغمام والملائكة وقضي الأمر وإلى الله ترجع الأمور سل بني إسرائيل كم آتيناهم من آية بينة ومن يبدل نعمة الله من بعد ما جاءته فإن الله شديد العقاب
زين للذين كفروا الحياة الدنيا. The life of this world is beautified, it is adorned for those people who disbelieve. Now, what happens? That a person knows the truth, he knows he should follow it, he knows about Islam, he knows about the commands of Allah, but yet he doesn't want to sometimes. Why? sleep is too good. Right? He just wants to keep sleeping. Likewise, it's possible that a girl knows she should be wearing hijab, but she says, no, I love to show my hair, I love to wear my hairstyle like this, like that. If I put the hijab on, then how can I enjoy that? So what stops a person from obeying Allah? What stops a person from obeying Allah? The desires, this dunya, the pleasures of this world, the enjoyment of this world. So Allah says that the enjoyment of this world is made beautiful for who? الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, not the believers. Zuyyina is from Zayyanun. Zina is beauty, and Tazyeen is when something is made beautiful for you, meaning you find something attractive. It could be a sound, it could be a scene, it could be a taste, it could be anything that you find attractive. And it's not necessary that it is beautiful, because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholders. This is why someone buys a pair of shoes and they're in love with them, and you're like, seriously? I would never get them for free even. So everybody's choices are different, right? So tazyeen is when something has been made beautiful. So zuyyina, it has been made attractive. لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, for those people who disbelieve. What has been made attractive? الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا, the life of this world. But notice what has been said, الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, not الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. The world is beautiful. It is attractive. It is very pleasing. You can enjoy a lot. There are many things to enjoy. But a believer knows that this is not all enjoyment. This is not all beauty. This is not real beauty. A believer knows that this dunya is not everything. He knows that there is more after this life. This is why if he has to sacrifice his sleep, he says, okay, I can do that. I can rest later. This is why if he knows he cannot eat at a particular time, he can do that. Why? Because he knows he can eat later. He will eat in Jannah, inshallah. A person controls his or her desires. Why? With the hope that Allah will give him more and better where? In paradise. So when a person has paradise to look forward to, Jannah to look forward to, when he's seeking the mardatillah, then he is able to sacrifice this dunya. But if a person does not look forward to the akhirah, then this world is everything to him. Then he's shocked to see how a person could not just buy a house, even with interest. Then he's shocked that how could a girl cover herself up? Or how could a person not have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Why do they have to get married? People are shocked. They cannot understand. How can Muslims live like that even? Does it ever happen to you? Have you ever experienced it that people are just like, you're weird. How can you live like that? How could you not eat this? And how can you not drink that? And how can you not party? And how can you not do what we're doing? And they feel bad for you sometimes. They pity you sometimes. And you're like, I'm fine the way I am. Yes, it is a challenge sometimes, but it's okay. I can resist my temptations. I can control myself a little bit here, there. What gives you the strength to control yourself? Hope for paradise. But if a person is not hoping for paradise, then what happens? He can't control himself. So زُيِّنَ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. For them, this dunya is everything. And if anybody is not striving for dunya, they think they're a loser. They think they don't have anything. Like how sometimes, like recently I was walking outside with my children and this man drove by and he yelled out, "This is Canada." And for a moment I'm like, what did he say? Why did he say that? I'm like, oh, it's my hijab. Because he's trying to tell me I'm in Canada, so I don't need to wear it. They think that we are oppressed. They think that we are forced. But it's amazing. This is Canada. When it's winter, don't you cover yourself? Don't you cover yourself? You do. So why is it a problem to cover yourself in summer because Allah wants you to cover? It's not a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. But if a person thinks, oh, she's covered and she cannot expose herself, she cannot reveal herself, she doesn't have that freedom, then either he will mock at her or he will feel pity for her, but she's fine the way she is. So زُيِّنَ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا, because he thinks that dunya is everything. And if somebody is missing out on worldly pleasures, then he's crazy. This is why وَيَسْخَرُونَ, and they mock at, sin khara, to mock at someone. They mock at مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, at those people who believe. Allah says وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا, and those people who have taqwa, those people who have fear of Allah. Notice it hasn't been said وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, but وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا, those people who have taqwa, who fear Allah. Even when others are mocking them, even when others are ridiculing them, they fear Allah and they keep doing what Allah has commanded them to do. They don't give in to the peer pressure. Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, they will be above them on the day of judgment. Above who? Above those who mocked at them, above those who made fun of them. This is just like before an exam, students, their behaviors are different. Some students, they're working, they're studying in the library, outside of the library, and other students, they call them nerds, right? They call them bookworms, or they will describe them with other derogatory terms just to make fun of them, and they're busy partying, having fun. But what happens when the results come? Who's at the top? Those who are partying? Those who are wasting their time? Those who are busy mocking at others? No, it was others who were more serious. So وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, those people who live a life of taqwa, a life of consciousness of Allah, they will be above the rest of the people on the day of judgment. And the day of judgment, that is a real place. That is a place, that is a time, our success. That is the place and time where we should be concerned. We don't want to be behind, we want to be ahead. Because that is for eternity. وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَاللَّهُ يَرْزُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ, and Allah provides whomsoever He wills, بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ, without any account, without any measure. Meaning, He provides whomsoever He wants with a lot, without any measure. Sometimes Allah gives a lot to those who believe and those who are righteous. And other times Allah gives a lot to those who disobey Allah, those who reject Him, those who ridicule the believers. And you wonder that why do they have more? Why do they have more? Does that mean that Allah is happy with them? Not necessarily. Allah is just testing them. وَاللَّهُ يَرْزُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. This is just dunya. But mainly in the akhirah, in Jannah, Allah will provide the believers without any measure. Without any measure. You know, in this dunya, you go to a resort, you go to a hotel, and every time you want to order something, you want to use something, you worry that you will be charged for it. Recently, I was at a hotel, and there were water bottles, and on the water bottle, there was a tag, it said $4.50. I was like, water bottle, $4.50? I was really thirsty, but I was like, I don't think it's worth $4.50. I'll just wait until my husband will bring the water bottles from the car. Really? You're like, you don't want to waste all that money. But in dunya, what happens? Anywhere you go for enjoyment, you're charged for every little thing. For every little thing. But in Jannah, the people of Jannah will enjoy one thing after the other, but they will not be charged. بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. These past holidays, we took the kids and myself to marine land. I love animals, and I really wanted to see whales and, dolphins and so on and so forth. There was a place where you could actually feed the whales yourself and touch the whales. So I'm like, I want to go there. Forget the show, forget everything else. There's too much music in the show anyway. I don't want to go there. I want to touch the whale, and I want to feed the whale. And then we found out that for every person to be able to touch the whale, you had to buy a ticket. You had to buy a ticket for each person to be able to touch the whale and feed the whale. So my baby, 6 months old, we wanted her to touch the whale as well. So we had to purchase a ticket for her too. Otherwise she could not go. like, this is dunya. You want an amazing Jannah. You can touch, you can fly, you can swim yourself, you can do whatever you want, but you won't be charged. وَاللَّهُ يَرْزُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. So that is what we should be striving for. That is what we should be struggling towards. Mardatillah. Because when you strive to earn the pleasure of Allah, and when Allah is happy, then everything is good. And if you lose it, if you fail in this world and you give in to peer pressure, just because others are looking at you weird or they're talking about you weird and you say that I can't do this anymore, I can't pray, I can't do this, then a person will suffer in the hereafter. Allah says in the Quran, انظر كيف فضلنا بعضهم على بعض وللآخرة أكبر درجات وأكبر تفضيلا. Look at how we have favored in provision some of them over others. Look at how people are so different in this dunya. Some people have so much and others have so little. Look at the variation in this world. But you know what? In the hereafter, it is greater. The hereafter is greater in degrees of difference and greater in distinction. In this dunya, okay, some people can touch the whales, but other people can at least see them, right? It's not that big of a difference. What's the big deal? You can take a picture even from the internet, right? And you can Photoshop it, just cut out your picture of yourself and put it next to a whale, and there, you're touching the whale, right? What's the difference? It's not that much. But in the hereafter is the real difference. When people will not even be able to smell the fragrance of Jannah. Those who will be deprived of Jannah, they cannot even smell Jannah. They cannot even have a glimpse of paradise. They cannot even have a drop of cool water. They cannot even touch it. They're far away from it. Far, far away. So the real striving should be for the pleasure of Allah, for the hereafter. That is the real home. This dunya is temporary. You struggle, you sacrifice, soon it will be over. But what will be seen is your efforts. Let's listen to the recitation.
زين للذين كفروا الحياة الدنيا ويسخرون من الذين آمنوا والذين اتقوا فوقهم يوم القيامة والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما. Lesson number 28, Surah Al-Baqarah. Inshallah we'll begin from ayah number 213. كان الناس أمة واحدة. Mankind was of one religion. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us briefly about history, the history of mankind. In the previous ayah, we learned that the believers, their focus is the akhirah. And because of that, what happens is that they don't give priority to the world, to the dunya and its benefits. But what happens is that those who are focused on the dunya, then they end up mocking at those who believe. So over here, Allah is telling us about how this division started amongst the people. That there are people who believe, there are people who don't believe. If you look back, if you look around you, there's so many religions and you wonder if the truth is one, if Allah is the only Lord, if He's the one who created mankind, then how come people are so different? So Allah tells us over here that كَانَ النَّاسُ, all people used to be, أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً, one nation, a single nation. What does it mean by this? Meaning all people were upon the same religion. When? At the beginning. Because who was the first man? Adam alayhi salam. And Adam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself created him, Himself sent him to the world and told him that guidance will come. فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى. So guidance was sent. Adam alayhi salam was on guidance, and initially people were all united upon the truth. But what happened? As the population increased, the differences, they also came about in the people. And there's something that's very understandable, that when the population is less, when there are only a few people, then there are very few differences. But as the numbers grow, as the numbers increase, then the differences also begin amongst people. Conflicts also arise, right? You may have seen this in families, that as a smaller family unit, people are very united, siblings are very united, but as they grow older, as they have spouses and as they have children, then what happens? The differences, they arise. The same way, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. What happened then? Some people, they deviated, and as a result, there were differences. Now, because of that, the truth became slightly unclear to the people. So Allah, because He Himself has taken responsibility to guide people, what did He do? فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ. So Allah sent. بَعِنْسَ. Allah sent an-nabiyyin, the prophets. An-nabiyyin is a plural of an-nabi, from the root letters Nun, Ba, Hamza. Naba. Naba is important news. Nabi is one who conveys important news to the people. So Allah sent the prophets, and these prophets, they came as mubashirin wa munzirin. Mubashirin, plural of mubashir, and munzirin, plural of munzir. Who is mubashir? One who gives bashara, bashin ra, good news. We have learned earlier, وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. So, mubashirin, the prophets were those who conveyed good news to the people. Good news of what? Good news of reward. That if you believe, you follow the truth, you worship Allah, you are good to one another, there is good reward awaiting you. And at the same time, there were also munzirin. Munzirin, munzir, one who does inzar, nun, za, ra. We have done earlier, أَأَنزَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ. And what does inzar mean? To give warning. So the prophets came as bearers of good news and also as warners, to warn the people that if you don't believe, if you don't do righteousness, then there are evil consequences awaiting you in this world as well as in the hereafter. So the prophets, they conveyed good news, they conveyed the warning. وَأَنزَلَ, and He sent down, meaning Allah revealed, مَعَهُمْ, with the prophets, al-kitab, the book. That Allah did not just send the messengers, but He also sent with them the scripture, guidance. Why? So that people could also follow that. And especially, why did He send the books? لِيَحْكُمَ, so that it may judge بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, between the people, فِي مَا, concerning that which اِخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ, they differed in. اختلفوا, خالم فا, اختلاف, difference. So the messengers were sent as bearers of good news as well as warners. But we know that messengers were human beings, their lives were limited. So eventually they passed away as well. But what happened after them? And what happened during their time? Where did people get their guidance from? The judgments from? From the book. Because the book that Allah reveals, that tells you what is right and what is wrong. The messenger is only the one who conveys the book. So the book decided, it conveyed to the people, it told the people what was right, what was wrong. لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ فِي مَا اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ. In other words, Allah revealed the books as criterion, as furqan. Just like today also, when we are confused, what is right, what is wrong, is this okay, is this not okay, what are we supposed to refer to? What are we supposed to refer to? The book of Allah, that is the furqan. The previous books also, the Torah, Allah revealed that as a furqan as well as a criterion. So the book is what told the people. But then what happened? People received the book, and yet those who believed in the book, even they differed amongst themselves. This is just like we have the Quran. All Muslims believe in the same Quran, they read the same Quran, yet you see so many differences amongst the people. You see that one group of Muslims, they support a particular opinion, another group, they support a completely different opinion, a completely different viewpoint. So there are differences amongst the followers of the same faith as well, amongst the believers of the same book as well. But remember that the differences that people have, right, when it comes to the same book, many of those differences are because of, you can say, tawassur, for tawsir, for vastness. Remember that differences of opinion, they don't always mean that everybody is wrong except for one opinion. Okay? It doesn't mean that. Which is why never ever think that what you're doing is perfectly right and what other Muslims are doing is absolutely wrong. it's quite possible that both the opinions are valid. This is just like in Tafseer. Just yesterday we learned, وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ لِيُفْسِدَ فِيهَا. I told you two meanings of tawalla. Correct? One was that he turned away, and the other was that he got power. Right? So both the meanings are correct, they are valid, but when you look at both the meanings, they expand your understanding, they enable you to have a greater understanding of the Quran. Right? So all the differences are not bad. This is the main point. However, some differences, they are a problem. And this is exactly what is being spoken about over here. That وَمَا اخْتَلَفَ فِيهِ, and he did not differ in it, meaning concerning the book, concerning the scripture, concerning the religion, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ أُوتُوهُ, except for those people who were given the book. أُوتُوهُ, Hamzata, yeah. The people who were given the book are the ones who differed in the book. But why did they differ? مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ, after the clear proofs had come to them. Bayyinat is the plural of bayyina. Meaning, after the truth was clear to them, yet they were in differences. Meaning they knew what was to be done, what was not to be done. Yet they differed from each other. Why? What's the reason? بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ, due to rebellion, due to jealousy, due to animosity amongst themselves. Let me give you an example. The people of the book, the Yahud, which book did they believe in? Which book did they observe? The Torah. Right? They all believed in the Torah. Isa a.s. was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He brought bayyinat, clear evidences, clear proofs. Right? And was it not clear to the people that he was a messenger? Yes, it was very clear. I mean, when does it happen that a child speaks? It doesn't happen like that. A child speaks? Impossible. When does it ever happen that a person can make a bird out of clay and blow life into it? It's not possible for any ordinary human being to do that. Likewise, we see that Isa a.s. performed many other miracles, and the truth was very clear to the people. But did everyone accept him? Did everyone believe in him? No. Some believed in him, but the majority rejected him. Why did they reject him? What was the reason? Why? Because what he was telling them, they did not like it. They did not want to accept what he was telling them. So what happened? People who believed in the same book, the Torah, eventually they differed. Now again, what happened? The people of the book, when Muhammad ﷺ came, was this truth not clear to them? Yes, it was. Otherwise, Abdullah ibn Salam would not have accepted Islam. Otherwise, Salman al-Farisi would not have accepted Islam. The fact that they accepted Islam on seeing the Prophet ﷺ is a clear sign, it's a clear evidence that yes, indeed, he was the messenger. But they did not accept him, they did not believe in him. Why? What was the problem they had? He is not one of us. He is an Arab. He is not an Israelite, he is not one of us, this is why we're not going to accept him. So, why do you think there was a group of Jews, and then Christians, and then Muslims, 3 different groups, whereas they believe in the same God, they believe in Ibrahim a.s., they all believe in Musa a.s., they all believe in so many other prophets, but yet they have differences. Why? What's the reason? بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ, out of jealousy, animosity between themselves. Likewise, we see that amongst the Muslims, there are many divisions, many divisions. What's the problem? People follow the same book, the same messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then what's the jealousy? What's the problem? The problem is that people say, my imam, my scholar, my madhab, my teacher, my masjid, this is what they say. So even if you have a Quranic evidence, I'm not going to accept it because my sheikh said this, my sheikh said that. This is the problem. بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. We learned earlier that when the truth comes, when the truth is made clear to us, then even if we were on wrong, what should we do? Accept it, no matter how bitter it may be for us. Because who is the one who does not accept the truth? The one for whom? فَحَسْبُهُ جَهَنَّمْ. Like we learned earlier. When the person is told, ittaqillah, أخذته العزة بالإثم. His ego comes in. And it prevents him from accepting the truth. So بغيا بينهم. So what happened then? فهدى الله, so Allah guided, who? الذين آمنوا, those people who believed, لما, to that which اختلفوا فيه, they differed concerning it, من الحق, of the truth, بإذنه, with his permission. Meaning, despite the differences that existed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still guided those who believed towards what? Towards the truth. And you see that. There's so much confusion that people have created. Who's the real God? Who are we supposed to worship? What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to pray? At every level of religion, there are differences. But despite all of this confusion and chaos, Allah guides some people to the truth. How? بِإِذْنِهِ, with his permission. Meaning, there are some whom Allah guides. He gives them the tawfiq. When is it that Allah guides people despite the confusion and the chaos that exists? When the people themselves want the truth. When the people are seeking the truth, then Allah will lead them to the truth, even if they are in the darknesses of disbelief. Because we see, every time I think of Salman al-Farisi, I'm amazed. Look at where he was born and look at how he accepted the truth. He was born in Persia, in the house of a fire worshipper. And he was so protected from the outside world that his father would not even let him be exposed to other people, lest he would give up the ways of his forefathers. And that one day, Salman al-Farisi was sent, and he saw a group of Christians, and he was like, what is this? This makes so much more sense to me. And he left everything and went with them. He left everything and went with them. Went from one place to the other, one priest to the other, until the last one who told him that you better go to the place where the final messenger is going to come. And he went to Medina, and that is where he found the Prophet ﷺ, and he embraced Islam. Look at the darkness, the confusion that he was in, but Allah brought him out. Why? Because he wanted the truth. So this is a big lesson for us, that if we want the solution, if we want to be on the truth, if we want to do that which is right, then who should we turn to? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who should we ask guidance from? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. And such a person, Allah will not leave him astray. Allah will guide him. Because we learn, وَمَن يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. The one who believes in Allah, Allah will guide his heart. Allah will lead him to the truth. He will not leave him in the darkness. وَاللَّهُ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. And Allah guides whomsoever He wills, إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ, to the straight path. So to summarize in this ayah, what do we see? That the beginning of mankind was with guidance. Mankind was upon guidance. But then gradually people strayed, they fell into differences, and the truth was made confusing. Then what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent messengers as well as the books to solve the disputes amongst the people, but then people differed over those very books. So when more confusion was created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He guided the people to the truth. Which people? Those who wanted the truth. And why is it that people differed amongst themselves even though they believed in the same book? Because of the jealousy, the animosity that was amongst them. So some lessons that we learn in this verse are, first of all, that when there are any disputes, any differences, any confusion, we should turn to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا اخْتَلَفْتُمْ فِيهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Any matter that you differ, refer to Allah, meaning turn to the book of Allah. And if we do find the solution and it's contradicting to what we were upon, then what should we do? We should leave our ways and adopt the truth. Our ego, our nafs should not prevent us from accepting the truth. And also remember that these differences that arise amongst people, they are just a test for us. This is part of life. This is part of life. We learn in Surah Hud, Allah says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If Allah willed, He would have forced mankind to remain one nation, meaning to remain on the truth. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. But people will not cease to differ amongst themselves, meaning forever people will differ. These differences will keep coming up. And we see this every few weeks, every few months, every few years, you hear about a new group, a new opinion, a new this, a new that. So وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُمْ. Except for those whom Allah is merciful upon, Allah will keep guiding them. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ, or do you think, حَسِبْتُمْ حَاسِين ba, do you think, do you assume, أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ, that you will enter Jannah? تَدْخُلُوا دال خالان. You think that you will enter Jannah just like that? Just like that. You think entry into Jannah is very easy? It's very simple. That all you say is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and you live a life of ease and comfort, and anytime you fear some difficulty in the path of Allah, you take a back seat, you take a step back. You think entry into Jannah is just like that? It's not easy. If you want to get to Jannah, you have to strive. We learned earlier, Udkhulu fis silmi kaffa, enter into Islam completely. And when a person does that, he faces hardship. Sometimes in the form of mockery from other people. So Allah is asking us, you think entry into Jannah is that simple? It's not that simple. Wake up. وَلَمَّا, and not yet, يَأْتِكُمْ, it has come to you, مَثَلُ. Mathal is from Mim Thalam, and you know that mathal is, what does it mean? It means example, but it also means one more thing. I gave you another meaning. Similar to. Mithal, mathal, example, okay? But it also gives the meaning of that which resembles another. That which is similar to the other. And also if you think, an example always resembles, is similar to what you're trying to explain. If there was no resemblance between the two, then that example is irrelevant. Correct? There always has to be resemblance between what you're striking as an example and what you are trying to explain. This is just like you're trying to explain to someone what a pear is like. The fruit, pear, what it's like. And you tell them that it's very similar to apple, okay? It's like apple, you say. And you say that it's like this texture, it's like this color, it's like this flavor. But if you don't make a comparison, and that comparison is not similar, then the other person is not going to get what a pear is, no matter what you say. There has to be some resemblance, right? So, over here, mathal does not mean example, but it means likeness, similar to. That you think you can enter Jannah while what happened to the people of the past, anything similar to that has not happened to you. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. الَّذِينَ, those people who خَلَوْا, they passed, خَلَمْ wow, مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, before you. Meaning, what happened to the people of the past, nothing like it has happened to you yet. The problems that the people of the past experienced, you have experienced nothing like that. There is no similarity between what they experienced and what you are experiencing. What they suffered and what you are suffering. The problems, the difficulties they endured and that you have to endure. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. When they embraced Islam, they had to suffer a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties. And what are you experiencing? Nothing? You have a small headache and you feel, oh my God, I can't study the Quran anymore. You get sick for a week and you think that's it. No more studying the Quran, it's getting too difficult. One test you fail and you think there's no hope for you. Why do you think like that? The people of the past had it much worse. What you're going through is nothing compared to the problems that they experienced. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. The fact is that when a person says La ilaha illallah, when a person makes promises with Allah, makes some commitments with Allah, with his deen, then Allah will surely test him. Allah will surely test him. And all sorts of tests will come in the form of physical problems, illness, in the form of social issues, opposition, difficulties that a person faces. They will happen. Definitely. Why? Because Allah is going to test the servant. How sincere is he? How dedicated is he? How honest is he? The companions, once they were traveling for Umrah. They had their ihram on, and you know that in the ihram you cannot hunt. Hunting is not allowed. But what happened is that as they were traveling, there were animals and birds within their reach that literally they could take them with their hands. Forget about waiting there and then looking at the prey and then, finally shooting an arrow. No, it wasn't like that. If they wanted, they could have just simply taken those animals and birds in their hands. It was that easy for them to catch them. But why do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused that to happen? To test them. That who fears Allah in the unseen? Who fears Allah when nobody's watching? Who fears Allah? This is just like the people of the Sabbath. They were told no work on Saturday. Right? You're only worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what happened on Saturday? The fish would come. More and more fish would come. Right? And they could see the fish at the surface of the water. Why? Because Allah was testing them. That what do? They say that yeah, they're going to observe the rules of the Sabbath, but are they really going to? This is just like we learn a lesson of sabr. And then what happens? The test begins. Where we have to be patient. We have to demonstrate patience. Because when we learn about things that Allah likes or Allah does not like, we get very motivated at that time. We make promises, we make intentions, we make resolutions, but then Allah will test us. What do you do? What do you do? So likewise, when a person becomes serious about his deen, Allah will also test him. And as He will test him, as a person passes each test, his entry into Jannah becomes more and more possible. Because the path to Jannah is surrounded by difficulties. The way to Jannah is surrounded by difficulties, by thorns. It's a very thorny way, a very difficult way. So Allah is asking us, you think you're going to get to Jannah just like that? No, you are going to suffer problems. And you think what you're suffering is bad? You think your problems are really bad? No, what happened to the people of the past is much worse. What you're experiencing is nothing compared to what they experienced. What did they experience? مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ Ba'sa, misfortune, adversity, hardship. It touched them. وَالضَّرَّاءُ and the suffering. And we have done these words earlier. You know that ba'sa is used for poverty as well as physical hurt and pain, physical hardship. So it refers to financial problems as well as physical problems. When a person is hurting in their body, they're suffering in their body. And ad-darra, it refers to physical tribulation as well as psychological, mental traumas. That when a person faces problems from his own loved ones, own family, own friends, when they oppose you, when they turn against you, when they taunt you, when people mock at you, when they laugh at you, when they pass negative comments against you. Darra. And darra is also physical, that when a person experiences some illness, some sickness, some disease, that is darra. So the people of the past, مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ. And what are you experiencing? Just one negative comment? Just one negative comment? You know how if you're walking somewhere, I told you recently what happened with me, I was walking and this person yelled at me, this is Canada. And for a moment I was shaken, I was afraid, I thought that maybe I should go home. But I thought, no, what is he going to do? I am in Canada, right? This is a safe place, inshallah. Nowhere else can I walk with so much confidence. Because here, alhamdulillah, I am free to practice my faith. So it gave me confidence and I kept going where I was going. I was not afraid. And just think about, imagine the time when the Prophet ﷺ was standing on Mount Safa and he was calling out to people and he was doing da'wah to them, and his own uncle, he said, may you be ruined, may you be destroyed. This is why you called us. Imagine being humiliated in public. I mean, I was just standing there alone. Nobody heard what that man said. Nobody else witnessed that scene. But it was still hurtful. But if you look at what the Prophet ﷺ experienced, he would be walking around, the Prophet ﷺ, calling people to Allah, and his own uncle would be walking right behind him, insulting him, humiliating him, telling the people, don't listen to him. He is a great liar. He is the one who has abandoned us. What is that suffering? That suffering is much greater. It's much greater. If we are ever publicly humiliated, we don't want to show our face in public ever again. We don't want to go out again. We feel so bad, so horrible. We cry, we weep as if such a huge tragedy has happened. And it's not that huge of a tragedy at all. Allah says, مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ. We're standing in prayer and we feel that our back is hurting. Think about how when the Prophet ﷺ would stand in prayer and his feet would swell up. His feet would swell up. How many of us have experienced that? Hardly anyone. And even if our feet have ever swollen in prayer, I don't think we can compare that to what the Prophet ﷺ experienced. مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ. The people of the past, they had it much worse. So in other words, difficulties on the path of Allah, this is what? Something normal. Something normal. It's a norm. Recently somebody asked me that, since I have started becoming more serious about studying the deen, all of a sudden there's so many problems that are happening. And I'm wondering, am I doing the right thing? Maybe Allah is angry with me? Maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing? So this is what I told her, that when a person goes out in the way of Allah, then Allah will test him. It does not mean that Allah is upset with you. مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Allah has not abandoned you, nor is He angry with you. مَا أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لِتَشْقَى. We have not revealed this Qur'an to you so that you become miserable. No. These challenges, these difficulties will come. But who does Allah test? Those whom He loves. Yes, very cliche, but very true. We hear these statements all the time. Allah tests those whom He loves. Allah does not overburden a soul more than what it can bear. But you know what? It's very, very true. It's very true. So the people of the past, مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ. They suffered a lot in the way of Allah. To the point that وَزُلْزِلُوا, to the point that they were shaken. Zulzilu, zai, lam, lam. Zalla is to slip. But you see how there's zai, lam, zai, lam. There's an additional zai. Zal, zala, zulzilu. This repetition in letters shows repetition of action. Zalla to slip, zalzala to slip again and again and again. That a person cannot have balance. He's not able to stand. He's not able to remain sitting in one place, remain standing in one place. He barely recovers that he falls again. He barely gets over one problem that another begins. One illness is barely over that the next one starts. Zulzilu. And zalzala is also used for an earthquake. إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. Why? Because in an earthquake, this is what's happening. Constantly, things are being shaken. People are shaking. As soon as they try to get up, they fall again. They try to put something up, it falls again. So the people of the past, they were tested and tried so much that they were shaken up. Shaken up from where? From within. That they felt as though they were going to lose their faith. They felt as though, where is Allah? This is just like Umar radiallahu anhu. He once came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said that, are we not upon the truth? And the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, we are. He said, then why? Why do we have to suffer? Why is this happening? Why can't we stand up for ourselves? Why can't we take revenge against the enemy who's persecuting us? Many times companions went to the Prophet ﷺ and expressed such feelings. This is the situation where you start doubting yourself. Am I doing something wrong? This is just like, a person, they make a decision, I'm going to start wearing the hijab, but then all of a sudden they see the entire world turning against them. They can't continue working. Their parents are not happy, their spouse is not happy, their children are not happy, their cousins are not happy, their friends are not happy. They're like, am I doing something wrong? You start doubting yourself. وَزُلْزِلُوا مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ, until to the point that the messenger said, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ, and the believers who were with him, even they said, مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ, when is the help of Allah going to come? When is it coming? The Prophet ﷺ, the companions, they suffered in Makkah for 13 years. If we have to suffer something for 13 days, we think that's it. We can't keep going. We can't have any more patience. They said, مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ, when is it coming? Is it even coming? مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ. What does Allah say? Allah, hear, listen, O people. Be in no doubt that inna nasrallahi qareeb, that indeed the help of Allah, it is qareeb, it is near, qaf ra ba, it is not too far away, it is coming. Just hold on a little bit more. Don't give up. Just a few more days, just a little bit more suffering, and very soon the help of Allah will come. And if you look at the past, all the people, all the righteous people, all the prophets of Allah, eventually the help of Allah did come. Look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ. 13 years. It became so difficult. So difficult that the life of the Prophet ﷺ was in danger. And the people had planned to kill him. But the help of Allah came when Allah told him, leave Makkah. And when he left, after that, the doors of success opened for him, one after the other. So Allah is testing us. When we're going through difficulties, when we're going through problems, Allah is only testing us. That how strong are we on the inside? How determined are we? How sincere are we to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And at the same time, when a person suffers in the way of Allah, he becomes even more stronger. He becomes even more stronger. This is just like if you've suffered an illness in the past and you have the same thing again, what happens? You're more confident. You're like, you know what? I can deal with it. I've dealt with it before. I can face it again. This is about people suffering in the way of Allah. All people suffer in one way or the other, and that is because this life is a test. Okay? الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Believers, non-believers, both suffer. Right? Life is difficult for human beings in general. But this verse especially is talking about those who suffer in the way of Allah. This is like, you know, a person, like the example I gave, a person starts to wear hijab and they get fired. Recently this woman came to me, she's a dentist. And she's saying that I've been trying to practice, get a job somewhere or the other, but everywhere I go, they make an issue with my hijab. And she said, yes, I'm experiencing this. What am I supposed to do? Imagine somebody has spent thousands of dollars to become a dentist, and now that they need to work so that they can get that money back to pay off all those loans, they can't find any job. Why? Because of their hijab. Because of their hijab. Isn't that a test in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yes, it is. But you know what? We just have to hold on for a little bit longer and the help of Allah will come. This lady, she came to me on Eid, I met her, and she said, I just wanted to tell you, alhamdulillah, I found something. And it's because she was strong and she kept asking Allah for help. And Allah did send her His help. Inna nasrallahi qareeb. Indeed, the help of Allah is very, very near. It's not far away at all. Let's listen to the recitation.
كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله النبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليحكم بين الناس فيما اختلفوا فيه وما اختلف فيه إلا الذين أوتوه من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات بغيا بينهم فهدى الله الذين آمنوا لما اختلفوا فيه من الحق بإذنه والله يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب.
Remember that any problem, any suffering that we experience in this life, eventually it will come to an end. Eventually it will be over. So when we are suffering, at that time what is required? Sabr. Remember I mentioned to you earlier the different levels of sabr, the different types of sabr? That one is that a person accepts it as a decree of Allah and he doesn't complain. And another is that a person is happy. He accepts what Allah has decreed for him because he says, okay, Ya Allah, you chose me for this test. Because he knows that it's an opportunity to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, an opportunity to gain more reward. A realization that Allah remembers me. A realization that Allah, He is very involved in my life. That I am suffering, that Allah sent a problem in my way. And that Allah will take it away, inshallah. A reason for me to beg before Allah even more. A reason for me to pray to Allah even more, to remember Allah even more. So whenever we're having any difficulty, any problem, remember Allah. And remember that help is not far away. Eventually, that problem will go away. Eventually, it will go away. Every pain, every disease, every problem eventually goes. It eventually departs. And if you remember the people other than yourself, you will realize that other people have experienced much worse problems, much greater problems. If you ever compare yourself to others, you're like, oh, alhamdulillah, I'm much better. I'm in a much better state. It's happened with me a number of times that, I have a problem and I'm like really worrying about it. I'm like, why is this happening? And what am I doing wrong? And, you wonder when you are experiencing problems. And the moment you reflect on the lives of other people, you are afraid before Allah. That, Ya Allah, why am I displaying even a little bit of impatience? Well, the problem you've sent my way is nothing compared to what others are suffering. A hadith tells us that among the nations before you, a believing man would be put in a ditch that was dug for him. Why a ditch? Because then he's stuck there. He can't get out. He can't run away. He can't bend. He can't hide. He's stuck. Imagine a person is put in a ditch and then the mud, the soil is put around the side so that he's fixed there. He can't move. And a saw, a chainsaw, a saw will be put over his head and he would be cut into 2 pieces. Yet, that torture would not make him give up his religion. It would not make him give up his religion. His body would be combed with iron combs that would remove his flesh from the bones and nerves, yet that would not make him abandon his religion. There were some companions who were once captured by some enemy. And as they were captured, other Muslims were brought in front of them and thrown into big vessels in which a boiling hot oil was there. And they were thrown into that boiling hot oil, and all they could see within moments was their bones floating, rising to the top. Just imagine. And yet they did not give up their faith. Tell me, what is a headache compared to that? What is a bone fracture compared to that? What is it? It's nothing. And yet, the way we complain, The way we get upset, our problems are nothing at all. We need to be patient. We need to remember Allah, and we need to seek His forgiveness for our impatience. There's a video that I would like you to watch. It's not that recent, it's a little old, but these are problems that people have suffered in this world. And this is not about thousands of years ago. This is like 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Some of which is happening till today. So I want you to watch this and count your blessings.
You want a journey to hell on earth, a journey to a place called Danaan. This is the remote Ogaden region of eastern Ethiopia, bordering on Somalia. It's an area mired in a guerrilla insurgency and devastated by a lingering drought. As filmmakers, we're on our way to Danaan, a camp for displaced persons, to try and show the world how the people of the area are surviving. We're still far from our destination when we spot a group of people walking across the desert, also heading for the camp. They're carrying everything they own. They agree to stop and talk with us. She says, "This is our 10th day of walking. We had nothing in our homes, nothing to eat. During our 10 days of walking, we stopped in every village and asked people to give us some food. And through begging, we have managed to reach this place. We lost our camels, our goats, our sheep, and we don't know what is waiting for us in the shelter. We don't know whether there is going to be food. We have no alternative. We have to travel this way. 2 boys and 2 girls died since we left our homes. My daughter died 2 days ago. She was 15. We can smell Danaan even before we reach it. The skeletal remains of hundreds of animals litter the desert. Although we've been told what to expect, we are still shocked when we see it for ourselves. These are the remains of the most precious possessions the refugees brought with them. The camp lay ahead, and we feared the worst. Here it is, Danaan, now home to 7,000 people living in tiny huts, not even big enough to stand up in. I came here with my wife and children, and 4 of them are now dead. There is no food. I haven't had water in 3 or 4 days. There is no water. The boy is now my only child. The only thing remaining is our fate, to die. Abdi wants to show us the condition of his wife, Mariama. She's had nothing to eat in days and has been lying motionless in the hut. He tells us that she doesn't even have the strength to sit up by herself. I would rather lose all my property than still have Mariama. She is a very loving wife, very good to her children. I have been praying all night to get help from my family and wife. I'm in a desperate situation. I don't know what I'm going to do. Without her, we can't live. Even though we knew it wouldn't solve his problems, we gave Abdi much of our food for Mariama and the children. You are looking at all the medicine there is for the 7,000 people of Danaan. They have no doctor. They have no nurse. We go to the food storehouse and are confronted by another fiasco. The district administrator, Adnan Omar Fetin, explains, if I were to distribute the small amount of food left in the storehouse, there wouldn't be a glass, not a glass, for each of the 7,000 people living in the shelters. If I distribute that small amount, there could be a riot. Therefore, I've decided to use the small amount of food for distribution to new arrivals only. Some of them have been walking for 15 or 20 days. They are in the most critical need of food. And now we have no water. I don't know what I'm going to do. There are times when I think about hanging myself. The mental agony. I'm sure you must also be having that agony in your minds. You are a living witness. It's our last day in Danaan. We're taken to see a woman and her 3-year-old son, Kadir. Even without translation, the horror of her words is clear. Each afternoon, just before sunset, we've seen processions of men leaving the camp for the cemetery. We ask permission to join and film them. Today, they're bearing a 2-year-old girl named Ambia. Her father is very gracious and welcomes us. He tells us that it is the 3rd child he's lost in the last 4 months. As I watch the simple ritual, I feel helpless that we've not been able to do anything to aid these people. I feel angry that the world and its bureaucracies have forgotten the people of Danaan. It has now been months since we left Danaan, and not a day goes by that I don't think of the time we spent there and the fate of the people we met. They chant, God, this is an innocent 2-year-old child who has died. Please let her soul rest in heaven.
This is just one camp. Do you know how many camps exist in the world today? We live in this country. We eat morning, day, night, and we forget about such people. We face first world problems and we complain over them. What are our problems? I ate too much, so I need to eat something else to fix myself. We complain because we got a paper cut. We complain because one part of our body is hurting, because we didn't get to sleep enough. This is what we complain about. And we forget that there are many people on this planet today who are suffering much, much more than us. So Allah is telling us very clearly, you think you're going to enter Jannah just like that? You are going to suffer. And you have to be patient in that suffering. And you have to remember those who are suffering. Because the one who helps others, Allah will help him. On the Day of Judgment, Allah will ask a person that I was thirsty and you didn't give me water. I was hungry and you didn't give me food. And a person will say, Ya Allah, how could you be needy? And Allah will say to him that my servant was hungry, my servant was needy, my servant was thirsty, and you didn't give anything to him, you didn't help him or her. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. You will be questioned on that day about the blessings that you enjoyed. We enjoy, and if there's even a little bit that we are disappointed with, we get extremely frustrated. We show so much impatience. We think that that's it, our life is over. We need to have trust in Allah. We need to turn to Him. And we need to become stronger.
أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب.
The thing is that at the time of difficulty, one must never ever forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you remember what that man said, that we only have our faith in Allah. That's all we have to live off of. Otherwise, we have nothing. When a person is going through any problem, he should have trust in Allah. Like we learned earlier, that وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. And when a person is suffering in the way of Allah, he should remember وَاللَّهُ رَؤُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah is very loving, very kind, very affectionate towards His servants who are struggling in His way. Because at the time of suffering, it's very, very easy to fall back, to give up, to say, I feel like killing myself. I feel like strangling myself. It's very easy to do that. That's the easy way out. But it's also the wrong way out of problems. We need to turn to Allah, we need to remember Him and do what He wants us to do even in the difficult times. What happens with us? We just have a tummy ache, we are just slightly ill, slightly unwell, and the first thing we leave is what? Our salah, or our du'as, or our recitation of Quran, or something or the other that's like that. That's one of the first things that we give up. When Allah tests us, we need to increase in our worship. We need to increase in our turning to Him, not turning away from Him. Because that's the only way to success. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So alhamdulillah, we are done with our lesson 29, the last week's lesson. Ayah 204 to 214. Inshallah, take your break. And so I meant lesson 28. The Tajweed was lesson 29 today. So inshallah, take your break and then we'll come and do a quick recap before we begin the translation of today's lesson. Sounds good, inshallah? Or you want it now, recap, quick. If you want it now, 1, 1, 1. If not, then 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, let's finish it most once. So we'll finish the recap, inshallah, and then we'll take the break and then begin today's lesson. Okay, inshallah, here. So, ready? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Lesson number 28, ayah 204 to 214. So most of them, alhamdulillah, we covered today. Can you see the right slide? As it says Surah Al-Baqarah 204. Okay. Hopefully, I'm sure you're seeing the right screen I'm sharing with you. No, you don't see anything? Okay. Now, is it there now? Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's begin. Ayah 204. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So just a couple of ayahs from last week. You may have gone over it. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ. So which words, speech carry weight in the hereafter? The speech which pleases people, يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ, it says here, which pleases the people, or the speech that is beneficial, speech which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or speech that is honest, sincere, and truthful. Which ones? You can say more, multiple. 1, 2, and 3. Sarah, F. Okay, so yes, we did learn about that it should please people, but what should be behind it? It should be honest. It shouldn't be just trying to please people for gaining your benefit, but it should be pleasant in the sense our whole intention should be that we want to speak good with honesty, right? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So qawlan ma'rufan, good whole. But what goes with this answer is that is honest, sincere and truthful. So this honest, sincere and truthful could be which pleases people also, but mostly it should be the speech which pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it comes to that. And then which is beneficial. Okay, alhamdulillah. Next one. What lesson do we learn from this ayah? The same ayah, 204. So here, this can a little bit clarify, Sarah, your answer that why two, I mean, when you said two last time, this can be more clarifying. What lessons do we learn? So how should we not just talk nicely, or we can talk nicely, but with sincerity, not just, you know, we are very sweet just because we want people to say, oh, how sweet she talks, or look, or just to show off, or just we are different. Hypocrites, sometimes we're talking in one tone to people and we have a different tone at home. So which ones? 2, 3, 4, let's check. Yes, talk nicely but with sincerity. Be honest both in your heart and your speech, and we should not be too argumentative. We heard this, that we shouldn't be the aladul khasam. Do not go to the extent that we want to show that we win. Actually, nobody wins in that argumentation. It's weird. Both are actually losers, because we don't want to show that we are right, but rather we want to be patient. We know the hadith that even if you're right, if you keep quiet, Allah loves that action, and there's a reward of Jannah for you, and house in the middle of Jannah for you. That. Okay, so وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ لِيُفْسِدَ. Fasad. Fasad here is what? Like all these actions, what does it mean? It's one noun, not loved. Yeah, la yuhibbul fasad, it's here it says, but kind of disobedience, but something else. Corruption to Allah, something to Allah. Think of that way. Yes, fasad means corruption, if you ask the meaning. But here I think sister, disobedience to Allah. No. Yeah, I was also thinking how you guys will think about this in which way, but here, watch, if you, I think, pay attention, this is what Sister Khurshid meant here. It means ingratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because at some point, Sister Taimiyyah might have said, yeah, ungrateful, very good, movie, barakallah fiki. Yeah. So when we are being disobedient to Allah, means we are being basically ungrateful, right? So fasad, corruption, doing something which Allah does not like, shows our ungratefulness to Him. Okay, now this should be easy for us, inshallah. In ayah 206, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ اتَّقِ اللَّهَ أَخَذَتْهُ عِزَّةٌ. What beneficial advice is being given in this ayah? His ego comes in the way. بِالْإِثْمِ فَحَسْبُهُ جَهَنَّمُ وَلَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادُ. So I know the advice here could be different to all different of you. Just come up with a couple of things. Let's see. Nothing? This thing. Yes, Mobin. So when beneficial advice is given, sorry, I went to the next one. What beneficial advice is given in this ayah? So it is accept the advice. First is this, ittaqillah, you fear Allah, then be alert and think what we are doing, and then maybe we are really doing wrong even if the other person is trying to correct us and we are right, and then check our intention and stop the wrong and then do the right instead. Yes, Samatullah, correct your ways. Ittaqillah, listen. When you're saying fear, when you ask to fear Allah, and then listen, and if you're doing something wrong, then correct mend your ways, make it right. And then give it a thought, what are you doing? Are you doing the right thing or not? And then if you think it is wrong, then you mend your ways. In the context of Islam, in the context of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. So taqwa is in the heart, and we all have a mufti in the heart. We all know what is right from wrong. So when we see we are doing something incorrect, try to correct it and see it from the Quran and the Sunnah. So what does it mean to enter Islam kaffati? Udkhulu fi silmi kaffah. Yes, very good. So don't think, okay, I'm doing one thing and that's enough for me. Yes, very good. Don't pick and choose, don't follow whatever is in the mind, but don't follow your desires to accept. And yes, Amatullah, Muslim 24/7. MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. Awesome. Very good. You all are got the gist. You all got what it means. May Allah enable all of us to enter Islam completely. And we don't pick and choose. And we do not pick just one command and say that's enough for me. We implement all of the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As soon as we hear a command and that's correct, we try to change our ways. If they are just suiting and not do something what just suits our desires, rather what is proven by the Quran and Sunnah to be right. And then to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the outward and the inward. Not just to show people, oh look, I'm doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Yes, Barakallah Fiki. So, but this is what in the beginning of the class today, we mentioned Sibghatullah, for example, and then that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a chance to solidify it by showing us this example, like it is correlating. Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Take the color of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah. So now, which are these examples of, okay, we may skip this. Okay, so all of these examples are from, or are of what from this ayah? Allah is saying, Amanu udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. So the following are the examples of, yes, footsteps of shaitan. Following the footsteps of shaitan. Which one? Eating and drinking with the left hand, looking around in Salah. What was the word for this? Yes, laugh. And taking and giving things with the left hand. Yes, alhamdulillah. So this was following the footsteps of shaitan. This was ittabi'u taba, from following khutuwat, footsteps of shaitan. Okay, alhamdulillah. Now this one, fa'in zalaltum. So what you should do if you slip, like if you disobey Allah, what should you do? Repent and then, yes, trust, ask forgiveness and correct your ways. So first, as soon as you slip, you're disobeying Allah. Slipping is not obeying Allah. Then you turn right away to Allah. You obey Him, that means. And you seek His forgiveness. That, oh Allah, innaka a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Oh Allah, in like the prophets did, they would right away prove that, attach it to the ways of shaitan, that he is the one, he is the open enemy. So Allah, shaitan made me do this, so forgive me. Right away seek forgiveness and then make a step towards the right direction, and then do not return to it. Avoid making it again in the future. Right? So repent, the type of repenting comes that do not return to it. Repent and not return to it. Okay, now comes our translation test part practice on plurals and singulars and plurals. Al-umur. Al-umur. Wa ila Allahi turja'ul umur. Amr. Very good. Barakallah fikum, all of you, mashallah. Excellent. All of you got it. Al-amr. Yes. Let's do the root word now. For sal. Sal Bani Israel. Think again, Hanan. For sal. Sal is question, right? Su'al. It comes from su'al. Ask. Ask is from su'al. Yes. Seen Hamza Lam. Barakallah fiki. Nabila Matullah got it. So, alhamdulillah. So it is number 2. There's no shad on the lam, so it cannot be seen lam. There's a huruf illa, so it could be either of these 3. And then you have to know these are 3 huruf illa, with which one? So su'al. It comes from su'al. Remember sawal. Some people say sawal, but it's su'al in Arabic. So sal is seen hamza lam. Okay. So min ayat, in ayat 2:11 we see ataitahum. Wait, let us skip one ayah. No, maybe. Okay. So come atainahum min ayatim bayyinat. So what were the clear signs, clear proofs given to Bani Israel? Books, miracles, the prophets. So yes, prophets and all the books, miracles, and then Torah and the Injil, those two books. Because Quran was not yet there. Yes, so Torah, Injil also, Torah to Musa al-Islam, Injil also given before, and then the prophets were given in the miracles. Yes, alhamdulillah. Okay, now in this ayah 212, Zuyyina lillazina kafarul hayatud dunya. So the world has been beautified, it has been adorned for the disbelievers. So what gives a believer strength to control the desires, to control his or her desires? Fear of Allah, love of Allah, what else? What are we going to get? Yes, the hereafter, Jannah. Barakallah fi kiamatullah. Because we are a little bit, we need something, right, in exchange. So the hope for Jannah, inshallah, when we save ourselves, we fear Allah and we save ourselves from our desires, we control them and we channelize them towards the right way. We hope for the Darul Akhirah, the home of the hereafter, which is everlasting, Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbal Allahumma inna nas'alukal Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Okay, what is the root word for Allazina utuhu? Atayuti. Utuhu. Hamza. Ta. Ya. Barakallah fikum. All of you got it right, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. So always remember this word comes in different form. Atayuti. Utuhu. So the who is for the damir, the pronoun, and the main word is utu, which is in plural here, and the root word is hamza taya. Yes, alhamdulillah. So we are coming towards almost done, and mashallah, our time also, you've been so good, mashallah, today. It's becoming longer. We wanted you to take a break, but it's almost done now. Okay, darra. قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء. So we know what is ba'sa, now what is darra. So 2 1 2 1 both. No, just be specific, because we know ba'sa is 1. So darra includes what? 2. Yes, mental and emotional ailment it includes. Yes, right, good, Mubin. So ba'sa will be physical, financial issues, all. And the second one, just to be more clear, the raw includes the mental torture, mental trauma, and emotional element. Barakallah fikum. So what you should remember during the time of suffering. Everybody suffers, right? Everybody, all human beings who are born in this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just not humans, everybody, the animals, whoever is, all creatures, they suffer. What should we guess? We should remember it's a test for Allah. It will not be forever. It will end. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us. Yes. And then what we learn from this ayah, that people before us, yes, it's a test, hold on, that's for the ending, but also look at did anybody mention that? This thing, what this ayah especially refers to. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا. Okay, I was waiting for somebody to write it, but inshallah, I'll just read it. So first of all, remember that people were there before you and they are suffering different. Yes, similar. So people before you also suffered, and there are now also there are people who are suffering before. Remember that. Then in your suffering, remember to turn to Allah and be patient, that at least Allah is remembering you, is putting that as a test on you. And remember, it will not last forever. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help is inna Nasrullahi qareeb. Qareeb. Remember, Prophet ﷺ from 13 years he suffered in Medina. But he was told, the Sahaba, that inna Nasrullahi qareeb. So alhamdulillah, Nasrullahi qareeb. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again for this opportunity of enabling us to learn his words. Alhamdulillah. With that, Jazakumullah khairan kasira for all of your participation. Take your break. 53. Come back in 15 minutes, inshallah. At least we can do a translation and touch a little bit with the new lesson. May Allah enable us to come par to par with each lesson every day, just to keep up, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan kasira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take your break.
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد
نور في الظلمات أنسي في خلواتي يا سعدي وهنائي القرآن حياتي نور ملأ القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله أشرق دربي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه يمحو عتم الليل المظلم يروي ظمأ الروح يجعلنا من أهل الله يطيب به المجروح هو نبراس حياة يرشدنا بهداه ملأ القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله أشرق دربي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه يا رب فكافئ من أنشأ للتحفيظ صروح هي دور للنور وفيها عطر الطهر يفوح هيا يا من تاه فالقرآن نجاه ملأ القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله أشرق قلبي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه اليوم نكرم من حفظوا حفل ثم نروح لكن الكل لدرجات في الجنات طموح غايتنا الرحمن نتطلع لرضاه القلب ففاض بحب كتاب الله أشرق دربي بالقرآن فشكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه شكرا يا رباه
الفاتحة البقرة آل عمران النساء المائدة الأنعام الأعراف الأنفال التوبة يونس هود يوسف الرعد إبراهيم الحجر النحل الإسراء الكهف مريم طه الأنبياء الحج المؤمنون النور الفرقان الشعراء النمل والقصص العنكبوت الروم اللقمان السجدة الأحزاب سباه فاطر بياسين الصافات الصاد الزمر والمؤمن فصلت الشورى زخرف الدخان الجاثيات الأحقاف محمد الفاتح الحجرات الطار الذاريات الطور النجم والقمر الرحمن البقيع الحديد المجادلة الحشر الممتحنة الصف الجموعة المنافقون التغابن الطلاق التحليم الملك القلم الحاقة المعالي جنون الجن المزمل المتصل قياما الإنسان المرسلات النبأ النازعات عبس التأويل الانفطار المطففين الانشقاق البروج الطارق الأعلى الغشية الفجر البلد الشمس الليل الضحى الشرح الدين العلق القدر البينة الزلزلة العادية القارعة التكاثر العصر الهمزة الفيل قريش الماعون الكوثر كافر النصر والمسد الإخلاص الفلق والأخير والناس صواد القرآن.
يا ربي شكرا هديت قلبي شكرا نورت دربي شكرا
شكرا يا ربي شكرا هديت قلبي شكرا نورت دربي شكرا شكرا يا رب يا منزل القرآن يا خالق الإنسان يا رب يا رحمن شكرا يا رب شكرا يا رب يا منزل القرآن يا خالق الإنسان يا رب يا رحمن شكرا يا رب شكرا يا ربي شكرا هديت قلبي شكرا نورت دربي شكرا شكرا يا رب شكرا يا ربي شكرا هديت قلبي شكرا نورت دربي شكرا شكرا يا رب أنا بصلاتي أسلم وبالسعادة أنعم أفخر بأني مسلم شكرا يا رب يا خالق الأكوان يا رب يا رحمن أكرمني بالغفران. شكرا يا رب، شكرا يا رب، يا خالق الأكوان، يا ربي يا رحمن. أكرمني بالغفران. شكرا يا رب، شكرا يا ربي، شكرا. هديت قلبي شكرا، نورت دربي شكرا. شكرا يا رب. شكرا يا ربي، شكرا. هديت قلبي شكرا، نورت دربي شكرا. شكرا يا رب. نور يا ربي دربي شكرا، واستر يا ربي عيبي شكرا، واغفر يا ربي ذنبي دوما يا رب. شكرا يا رب. دايم مدى الزمان أكرمني بالإيمان، واغفر لي يا منان دوما يا رب. شكرا يا رب. دايم مدى الزمان أكرمني بالإيمان، واغفر لي يا منان دوما يا رب. شكرا يا ربي، شكرا. هديت قلبي شكرا، نورت دربي شكرا. شكرا يا رب.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض، مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح، المصباح في زجاجة، الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية، يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار، نور على نور، نور على نور، نور على نور، يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء، ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس، والله بكل شيء عليم.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, walillahil hamd. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, walillahil hamd.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربنا زدنا علما. Lesson number 29, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 215 to 220. Translation: يسألونك, they ask you, ماذا, what is that, ينفقون, they should spend. قل, say, ما, whatever, أنفقتم, you spent, من, from, خير, any good, فللوالدين, so for the two parents, والأقربين, and the close relatives, واليتامى, and the orphans, والمساكين, and the ones needy, and ibn, son, as-sabili, the way, وابن السبيل, and the traveler. وما, and whatever, تفعلوا, you all do, min, from, خير, any good, فإن, then indeed, Allah, Allah, bihi, with it, alimun, always all-knowing. Kutiba, it was ordained, it was written. Alaykum, upon you all. Al-qitalu, the fighting. Wahuwa, while it. Kurhun, is disliked. Lakum, to you. Wa'asa, and perhaps. An, that. Takrahu, you all dislike. Shay'an, a thing. Wahuwa, while it. Khayrun, is good. Lakum, for you. Wa'asa, and perhaps, an, that, tuhibbu, you all love, shay'an, a thing, wahuwa, while it, sharrun, is evil, lakum, for you. Wallahu, and Allah, ya'lamu, He knows. Wa antum, and you all, la, not, ta'lamun, you all know. Yas'alunaka, they ask you, an, about, ash-shahri, the month, al-harami, the sacred, qitalin, fighting, fihi, in it. Qul, say, qitalun, fighting, fihi, in it, kabirun, is great. Wasaddun, and to stop, to hinder. An, from, sabili, way, Allahi, of Allah, wa kufrun, and disbelief, bihi, with him, wal masjid, and the masjid, al-haram, the sacred, wa ikhraju, and expelling, ahlihi, of its residents, minhu, from it, akbaru, is greater, inda, near, Allah, Allah. Wal fitnatu, and the persecution, akbaru, is greater, min, than, al-qatli, the killing, wala, and not, yazaluna, they cease, yuqatilunakum, they fight you, hatta, until, yaruddukum, they turn you back, an, from, dinikum, your religion, in, if, istata'u, they were capable. Waman, and whoever, yartadid, he turns back, minkum, from you, an, from, dinihi, his religion, fayamut, then he dies, wahuwa, while he, kafirun, a disbeliever, fa'ulaika, so those, habitat, it was wasted, a'maluhum, their deeds, fi, in, ad-dunya, the world, wal-akhirah, and the hereafter. وَأُولَٰئِكَ and those, أَصْحَابُ our companions, النَّارِ of the fire, whom they فِيهَا in it, خَالِدُونَ ones who abide eternally. Inna indeed, الَّذِينَ those who, آمَنُوا they believed, وَالَّذِينَ and those who, هَاجَرُوا they migrated, وَجَاهَدُوا and they strove, في in sabili way Allahi of Allah. أولئك those, يرجون they hope, they expect, رحمة mercy, Allahi of Allah. Wallahu and Allah, غفور most forgiving, رحيم most merciful. يسألونك they ask you, عن about, الخمر the wine, والميسر and the gambling. قل say, فيهما in them too, إثم a sin, كبير great, ومنافع and benefits, للناس for the people. وإثمهما and sin of them too, أكبر is greater, min than, نفعهما benefit of them too. ويسألونك and they ask you, ماذا what is that? ينفقون they should spend. قل say, العفو the extra, the excess, the surplus. كذلك thus, يبين he explains clearly, Allahu Allah lakum for you, al-ayat the verses, لعلكم so that you, تتفكرون you all reflect. في in الدنيا the world, والآخرة and the hereafter. ويسألونك and they ask you, عن about اليتامى the orphans. قل say, إصلاح reformation, لهم for them, خير is better. وإن and if, تخالطوهم you all mingle with them, فإخوانكم so they are your brothers. والله and Allah, يعلم he knows, المفسد the corrupter, min from المصلح the amender. ولو and if, شاء he willed, Allahu Allah, لأعنتكم surely he put you in difficulty. Surely he would put you in hardship. Inna Allah, indeed Allah, Azizun, always almighty, Hakimun, always all-wise. Let's listen to the recitation of these verses.
يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه قل قتال فيه كبير وصد عن سبيل الله وكفر به والمسجد الحرام وإخراج أهله منه أكبر عند الله والفتنة أكبر من القتل ولا يزالون يقاتلونكم حتى يردوكم عن دينكم إن استطاعوا ومن يرتد منكم عن دينه فيمت وهو كافر فأولئك حبطت أعمالهم في الدنيا والآخرة وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لأعنتكم إن الله عزيز حكيم.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So subhanallah, we changed our pattern. We took the recap and became a little bit longer. So now if we start the tafsir and we begin ayat 215, we may have to stop in between. You want to do that? Number one. Number two, we start tomorrow. Next class we start from ayat 215, which again leaves us behind one lesson, or you guys can go over time. 3. Yeah, you guys want to go 10 minutes early, that's good for you. But subhanallah, we are falling behind lesson day by day. Yeah, that does make sense. But the thing is, every minute is important to us because inshallah, whatever Allah wills, we even requested Sister Maymunah one day to, not take her class. Plus, we requested her to alternate her Tajweed rules. So she's mashallah doing it for us. So inshallah, we can make dua. May Allah put barakah in our timings. Or again, I keep the request open for you guys to think if you can give us some more time, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, it would be really great, inshallah. So that we can, cope up and keep one lesson in a day rather than trying to stop abruptly. For you guys also, it's too much, right? We stop in between an ayah and then we begin from in between. Sometimes you may be feeling we are lost. Inshallah, Sarah. Let's see. So let's take this time now to answer any of your questions. If you have any other questions, because anyway, if you start now, it's already, you've taken your 2 minutes. So you have any questions so far about anything, any beautiful reflections you want to share, any gems you gathered from Juz 1, noted it down for yourself, and you would like others also to know about it so that it becomes a sadaqah jariyah for you? Yes, it will be, inshallah. It will end at the date which we shared. And after the assignment is closed, we can keep our opening date for Thursdays, right? So would you like Juz 2 part 1 be opened on Thursday for a week until next Thursday, inshallah, so that you can have time after the assignment to start working, so that at least we are caught up with our quizzes, inshallah. No, that will take some time, dear. It will take time because it needs manually grading. So it may take more time, depends on when we get time, inshallah. Okay, so next Tuesday, I just quickly will look at the dates for the Tajweed quizzes also, so that I just don't want to, of course they're opening at the same time, but yet it would be better if we don't open all the quizzes at the same time, right? So I'm quickly taking a look at the Tajweed quizzes dates. So that way, so quiz 3 open October 30th, quiz 4. Okay, so you have a lot of time now. You already taken quiz 3 of Tajweed, right? Yes, so the 4 has a lot of time now. Inshallah, it will be the last quiz before your final oral Tajweed. So inshallah, we can do it next week, inshallah. Okay, Mubin, then we will do it next week. Next Tuesday after the class, inshallah, we'll open it and keep it open for a week until the next class ends, or maybe until Wednesday, inshallah. So any other questions? We have 5 more minutes. Any reflections from today's class or previous classes? Anything you noted for yourself? Try to put some reminders in front of your work desk or somewhere where you are more often seen to be during the rest of the week. So those reminders really help us over the time. What happens is we are now with the class, we get a reminder for that week, we know, but once we are away from the class, away from Quran, away from understanding, learning, then once we are overtaken, by the crowd around us and the atmosphere around us, and we tend to forget even what we reflected on ourselves. So try to make a notebook, a diary for yourself, a separate one where, as like today's lesson, you jot down what you would like, you learned, what is a lesson for yourself. So that even when the class is over, the diary will remind you which ayah says what was the reflection, what was your lesson in that for you. And that really helps us. Yeah, sure, that also will help, inshallah, if you can share there, but now we had time, so I was asking you. It would be very good, and you can share in our group also. That way it will benefit all of you. But after the class is over, I'm trying to tell you, because you know how days are flying, subhanallah, before we know, we will end. Today, mashallah, tabarakallah, we crossed 200 ayahs, right? And Shakila, you would agree with it, but maybe there are people who are on job, there are people who have another, like you also, mashallah, take another class also, right? So there might be people, we would be really great if you can take one class. And that's the only reason, subhanallah, may Allah forgive me. We had put November, the Thanksgiving something, a holiday, which is in the United States. I had put that as a fall break for us, but when I realized we are behind with the lessons, I, subhanallah, just changed the schedule for us. And so there will be no break in November now. The break which comes now will be only in December, the winter break, inshallah. We'll have 2 days, 2 classes off. So let's see, inshallah, I'll see the schedule, how it works. So maybe just our day will go by 1 day over, but what we are, Sabah and me are trying to see that, if we can fit the same lesson Tajweed, same lesson translation, and the tafsir of that in the same day, that really helps all of us, right? You agree with that? So bit by bit here and there, yes. So that's what we are trying to do. I mean, of course, 1 day here and there doesn't matter, but we just want to keep everything on the same. That's why, subhanallah, 1 day we requested Sister Maymunah, just stop 1 day. So she did, mashallah, barakallah fiha. She always agrees with us and she facilitates things for us. But this way, even for you guys, we stop in middle of the ayah, then you have to begin and check your notes. Yeah, inshallah, I can ask her maybe next week or something. But yet that doesn't make Mubin a lot of difference, because the recordings are really, really long as the classes are proceeding, advancing, and her classes are, I mean, like, see, today, it's just 15 to 20 minutes when it is only recitation. But when there's a Tajweed rule, then they are almost 30, 35. So it could help us. The day it is longer, maybe I'll request her next week or something. I can do that, inshallah. We can request her. And then we have 4 more du'as to go to make our set of 10 du'as. And then we'll have an assignment on du'as also. So it's not very difficult. It's only about the du'as we have learned a little bit. Meaning, so keep those also in your schedules. Take a look at them. Keep asking them early. Whenever we have class, keep asking those du'as. Make a note of them. So that then when the assignment comes, it's really easy. It's just about those du'as, the meanings, and the Arabic, if you share it with somebody or not. So it's not that difficult. Yes, alhamdulillah. The groups is a very good sunnah way of learning, and also, if you want to share anything, you want to ask anything, the WhatsApp group is also a good way, but try to restrict yourselves. The more we learned it, right? The more we have learning, the more we have understanding for deen. What do? We ask less questions because we know one hadith asking too many questions. We learned from Bani Israel, right? Why are we learning this Quran? So that we reflect on the mistakes of what of the people Allah is mentioning, and we don't do them ourselves, and we don't repeat them, right? So we don't ask ourselves. If somebody has already taken the classes and they know some of the answers, asking questions, is it liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Too many questions might take us into too much expectations from us, then it makes things more difficult for us. So we should try to ask questions only when necessary. And yes, if we think this is a genuine question, then it's better we ask it in front of the group, so that way we benefit others also. Maybe they are too shy to ask, maybe they're having the same issues, they can't ask, or they cannot frame it properly. So maybe if you ask and it is answered, then even they can get. So always think, is it relevant? Is it necessary? We know the gems of asking questions, right? Like the attitude, etiquettes. And will it benefit somebody? Is it how beneficial it is? How much important it is? And those things. So inshallah, may Allah enable us to put into implementation all that we learn, and we make things easy on others and not confuse others by our questions, inshallah. Just make it easy for others. If we have something different, and that question is also in somebody else's mind, and you ask in a group, then alhamdulillah, even they get answered, rather than, we trying to cater to everybody's needs separately. It becomes too confusing for us also to distinguish who is asking what, because you yourselves are witness. Some of the names are so different from their email IDs. Some of the names are so different from what you have registered yourself as. The email IDs are so different. So sometimes the phone numbers are different. It gets really confusing to know which student is which, and to be able to cater to that personal needs or whatever you are asking for without knowing much of the background, inshallah. So, subhanallah, so much we talk. Forgive me. We are over time. So you have any reflections you can share, and then we can dismiss for today. May Allah put barakah in our timing, and all the more than learning, in our implementations. May Allah not test us too much that we cannot fulfill the requirements. May He find us among those who are patient. And of course, whatever we learned, believe it happens. The test comes right away. So understand it. It is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and check yourself. Ask Allah at that time. Allah, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Show me. You are the one. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. I ask only you to help. I worship only you. So you show me how I should react in this situation. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide us to the best of akhlaq. We keep asking Him to remove the hypocrisy from our hearts and the khiyana from our eyes and from our actions also. Allah, make us do actions that pleases you. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Subhana rabbika al-izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amalu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, barakallah fi kiamatullah. Yes, alhamdulillah. That's the beautiful way of looking at any issue in our way. Not looking at it as a problem, but finding solutions and understanding that's a way of gaining closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, Aisha, you're right. The next Tajweed test will be in January. So we have time. So alhamdulillah for that, inshallah. Those who want to share can share in the group. Such as Shakila, we cannot have extra class this week, inshallah. We will have to discuss with everybody and then do it. I'm not sure what you're asking, Mubin. Maybe I'll try to understand what you're asking and then answer it later on. Others can leave the class, inshallah. Our class time is up. Anybody has questions can stay behind. or others can leave, inshallah. And yes, the attendance should not be an issue for you. It's all set. Alhamdulillah. In case you have any issue, please post it in the group or email, inshallah. This is the email down here, alhudabqe2@gmail.com. Anything else? You're good, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan, Sister Sabah. May Allah make it easy for you also, your tests and everything. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Rabbal Alameen. Inshallah, we can end here. See you all next week. Have a productive week. And those who are going to finish the assignments, may Allah make it easy for you. And may Allah enable us also to grade it with fairness and in the best possible ways. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feekum. See you all next week.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar walillahil hamd. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar walillahil hamd.